Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Always Forward podcast. This is going to be a great, I fucking love all of these, but this one is with Gareth, my man who just loves to beat me into submission every time I'm with him, and then says he loves me and hugs me, and it's weird. And of course, you guys all know Tyler, my fearless jiu-jitsu coach, leader, and the reason why that I suck at jiu-jitsu.
You're welcome.
100%. Extreme ownership, right? That's where he keeps
Extreme ownership. Yeah, that's it. The shitty technique doesn't fall far from the tree. Thanks, Tyler. Fucking killer.
Dude,
koala.
I've been wanting to have you on since forever,
this
man.
This is a huge honor. I'm so happy that schedules aligned.
Yeah, man.
And I was able to make it to Wilmington, North Carolina, a home away from home, a place I used to live for about 6 years, as I took the victory lap at UNCW and started training jiu-jitsu at All Rules
That's right.
MMA with Tyler.
You guys went to school together.
Yeah, went to school together. I was in Argentina and was tackling someone on a kickoff playing rugby. Almost broke my neck and had subluxation in my C4 and C5 vertebrae, so I had to hang up the rugby cleats and needed a replacement for that aggression and love and thirst for violence. And so I found Tyler at All Rules MMA, and him and I had very similar introductions where I got my ass kicked and ragdolled by a woman who was about 145 pounds, soaking wet, beat the living brakes off
So the
of me
same
for
story
an
almost.
hour and a half. It was Hope, followed by Natalie.
Yep.
Shout out to them. And I was like, I need to learn this fucking Jedi mind trick martial art.
What belts were they at the time?
They were like one stripe white belts. So yeah, knew a hip escape, break fall, maybe technical stand up on a fucking good day.
Yeah.
And that was about the extent of it. I knew fucking nothing. I knew how to human torpedo tackle, and I knew how to run at people with fucking freight train like inertia, and that was about it.
And that didn't do you any good on the mat.
No fucking good whatsoever. As I quickly gassed out within the first 30 seconds and was being strangled by my own arm shortly after. So welcome to jiu-jitsu.
Then to be passed on to the tiny Venezuelan.
Yeah.
Who, also
the Hugo Chavez of the mats, who would again just beat the shit out of you, talk crap to you while you suffocated in his Gio Armani scented gi. He always smelled good. At least he was cleanly about his ass beatings. And he would call me on Sunday mornings because he knew, rugby was Saturdays. We'd have big rugby parties at the Key Lime Casa. Shout out to anyone who was at those wild shindigs. But long story short, he'd call me at 7 a.m. But I get it. It's time to get the sand out of your mangina. Meet me at the academy. You show up. I give you the pressure. I'd be like, fuck, not again. I don't want the pressure. And for 2 hours, he beat the living shit out of me. And essentially listened to reggaeton while he did it. So it seemed like this nice, warm, inviting environment. I was like, oh, we're going to dance. This sounds great.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he would literally for 2 hours straight, no water breaks, no timeouts. It was basically me getting submitted at least 500 times in a row and him just fucking loving it every second of the Sunday Funday roll-a-thon. And Tyler was part of those. I mean, you definitely...
Yeah. If you asked him hey, how can I fix this? He'd tell you to grab this lapel, squat, and let the sand fall out of your butt.
You want to defend the armbar? You need to grab lapel, you squat, and get the sand out of your mangina. Yeah. Be like, that's not working. Because all the sand's out.
No, this makes so much more sense of how Tyler coaches me now. This gets it. I'm like, hey, I want to improve on this. And he's like, yeah, you should just be tougher. I'm like, cool.
Same coaching style. He doesn't tell you where you fucked up. He just repeatedly puts you in that position till you fuck up to the point where you learn.
I remember him telling me that was his first thing. He goes, what did you say? You're like, yeah, I basically got beat up by a chick. And you were like, yeah, I need to learn this. Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. It was an unbelievably humbling experience. I had gotten into martial arts when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I actually learned this art form called Ishinryu, which was actually what the Japanese feudal army used to train their soldiers during World War II. And this guy, Ed McGrath, who was I think he was a Marine major maybe after World War II, stayed in Okinawa, learned this ancient feudal Japanese samurai art form, and then basically brought it back to the United States. My dad trained directly under him, and kind of as an Agoge type training strategy for his young sons, he put us through martial martial arts from the time we were like 4 years old onward. And my brother was a very accomplished full contact fighter. And it was actually legit fighting. It wasn't just like doing katas to fucking invisible opponents. Like it was full on kickboxing with stand up samurai jujitsu and like a fusion of like Kempo and karate, but not point scoring karate, like legitimate like head kicks, liver kicks. Like it was a very effective martial art. So I started off in that, and then I got into more traditional sports like lacrosse, football. And then when I played rugby in college, I didn't want to get my ass kicked on the rugby field, so I got into boxing and boxed at this little gym, 23rd and Palm. Remember that, downtown by Salvation Army. And we actually had a lot of Marines, so we get the Marine Corps national boxing team to go there. And I was like, 18 years old, young, dumb, full of cum, and just wanted to toughen up. And these guys would rock my bell on a regular basis, and I just kept showing up. And that's kind of where I learned how to box. Boxing led to, me wanting to get into jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu led me into learning Muay Thai, Dutch-style kickboxing, and then eventually fighting, in MMA. But, had it not been for the mutual ass beating that we got at All Rules MMA, I probably never would have stuck with jiu-jitsu, and Tyler and I never would have, created this lifelong friendship then, of course.
What year was that?
This was 2010. Yep. 2010.
Yep. Wow. Did somebody tell you that you needed to go do jiu-jitsu, or how did that transpire?
So I had a group of friends at Wilmington, Alex, Mike Coleman, a few other cats, Evan's with 10th Mountain Division now, and then Mike Coleman's a special agent out in South Dakota. But long story short, we trained and we basically just tried to emulate UFC moves that we saw on a Saturday night watching TV in our dorm rooms. And so it was just like us trying to fumble around and figure things out on our own.
Were you guys wearing like tap out shirts and drinking light beer?
I wasn't that close. I think it was more of an affliction guy myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
But definitely had a shirt that was 3 sizes too small. I think it had like a like metallic dragon on it or something.
Was it bedazzled?
Yeah, it was definitely bedazzled. I think Tyler wanted to borrow it one day, and I told him to fuck off because I loved it so much. But so we would basically play tap, nap, or snap in the rec center of UNCW till the security would usually kick us out. And we trained on these little like blue non-padded mats, and we'd usually end up with like borderline concussions, like definitely broke a toe or two on more than one occasion, and definitely like did not know how to break, fall, or spot landing. So we jacked each other up pretty good. And then it was actually Andrew Pappas, rest in peace, awesome dude, gifted wrestler, one of the most talented human beings I've ever met, invited me to All Rules MMA, and that's where I had that fateful beatdown with Hope and Natalie, and that's in turn where I met Tyler shortly after.
Yeah. Do you remember that guy Jeff, who was he wanted a cage fight? And
yes.
And I met him at Cape Fear Community College, and he invited me.
That was your invitation.
And then I was starting to feel
Is that
pretty
our
good.
Jeff?
No, this is a different Jeff. I haven't talked to him in years, but I started to feel okay about being in there, and then along comes Gareth. And as soon as he walks through the door.
It's horrible, dude. Yeah. It's horrible.
Our coach goes, you two together. I'm like, son of a bitch. And I got, wrecked.
How long had you been there before Tyler shows up?
Before, I think he might have shown up before,
maybe,
and then we just
a month or two.
Yeah, we crossed paths one night, and we instantly kind of vibed and hit it off. And he could kind of explain more about your transition into jiu-jitsu, because I do want to hear that integration from the Marine Corps to how you found
we
jiu-jitsu.
did that.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was kind of
that just shows that how good of a friend he is. He didn't listen to that podcast.
Right.
No, I did. I listened to the whole thing. I just, for the captive audience that didn't listen to that, just a little introduction.
Now Gareth's bringing all the listeners, right?
Now it's the Gareth show, apparently. I'm just commandeering this shit.
Yeah, he put the episode
This
on
is
play.
Gareth always forward. Thank you very much, guys.
Hell yeah.
Slamming the battle axe down on the table.
I wonder if those girls are still rolling.
They are not. Natalie, I talked to Natalie just the other day. She is no longer training. She got back into it for a minute and just can't find the time.
What did they get up to? Do you remember?
She was a
blue with a few stripes,
something like that. Yeah. And Hope got her black belt.
Good for you, Hope.
Yeah, she's great. She ended up taking over like administrative stuff at the gym that they own together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think she took a back seat for competing and stuff like that, but certainly well deserved. She was a world champion.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Legit
Well, see,
competitors.
you got beat up by,
Yeah.
a future world champion.
100%.
No big deal.
No.
You know what I mean?
Every day. Happens all the time. I actually get my ass kicked a lot. I mean, if you're not showing up with the intention of getting your ass kicked,
You do.
you're going to the wrong academies.
You go seek out the
Yeah.
You go seek out the heavy hitters, don't you?
Yeah, I go and train with the best guys and girls in the world for that specific reason. I had the fortunate privilege of being down in Puerto Rico last April and got to train with, the Down to Her Death Squad firsthand. So my jiu-jitsu rolling experience was, basically drinking rum the night before in a friend's bachelor party, waking up at 6 a.m. in the mornings and getting thrashed by the jiu-jitsu giant, my friend Dan Manasow, who just qualified for the ADCCs, 6'9" juggernaut from the Vlad the Impaler lands of Romania. So not only is he a fucking beast on the mats, but he's also part vampire. And then Gordon Ryan. And then, I was the only idiot that would also go live with Nick Rodriguez. So thanks to Nick for smashing me into the mats repeatedly.
You told me back when we were in the PB Abate fight camp.
Yes.
But to go ahead and for the listeners, like, how was that? Because the story of you, like, you're a black belt.
Yeah.
You're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some decent accolades under your belt.
Yeah. It's like trying to grapple
you're no chump.
A freight train locomotive that's got no brakes, and you're just like trying to hold on for dear life and just not get steamrolled. One of the most athletically gifted, explosive grappling IQs I've ever locked horns with. So,
did it feel like you just didn't know anything, or just?
Yeah, just like getting beat to positions and just getting really controlled on the inside, and you make small little advantages, and then you quickly get smashed to the point where you're in the worst possible spot. So yeah, a lot of envisioning things going good in your head, and then just disastrously falling apart to the point where you're at the crucible and mercy of him trying to crush your soul. So yeah, fucking great, a ton of fun, and I highly recommend it for everyone.
Hey, speaking of the best jiu-jitsu, how were your rolls this morning?
They were great. Up until I rolled Tyler. He's got this weird creepy thing with my feet. But no, it was awesome. Yeah. Crest BJJ is an awesome academy with Excelsior technique. Really good group of tough girls and guys who are willing to learn and humbly, play tap, nap, or snap with each other. But really tough guys, really tough. A lot of, military veterans, a lot of, first responders. So a really pro-military and pro-law enforcement environment, which I think just brings about just a really good cadre of tough people to train with and get better with.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it, but everybody's something. There's not many.
Or was something. Then everybody. See, I feel like when we go to other gyms and stuff like that, I've never seen quite that amount of people that were like either like just the tactical realm. So everybody's very, very aggressive.
Something.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can explain. So the majority of those guys, like MARSOC, Marines, what's their
They're
background?
either military or some form of law enforcement. I mean, we have a couple civilians out there.
Very, very few in combat.
Speaking of, where the hell was Stratton this morning?
I know.
He
must have caught wind of that and saw that post and
he's like, nah.
Slept in. He slept in.
Oh, he's gonna hear this.
Yeah,
he's an avid listener.
Yeah, we're talking to you, Stratton.
We're talking to you, Stratton. Where were you? You better come tonight.
Yeah, exactly. He's not gonna hear that. But
if you don't come tonight, I'm talking about you in the next podcast. So, all right, before we get into everything, Gareth, let's go with something. Tell me your most embarrassing story.
So actually took place here in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was a public speaking class, which apparently for a lot of people is one of the greatest fears.
No, that's actually the greatest fear.
It is the number one. Yeah,
it's the number one fear.
So like everyone who has trepidations about public speaking, I was scared shitless to do a public speaking presentation on a topic of choosing and a skill set that was teachable to the audience, hopefully captive audience listening to myself speak in front of the class, right?
Yeah.
So I had this amazing presentation on a topic of interest, which was the sport of rugby, and made this amazing slideshow, had the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil playing in the background, and just this action-packed, intense hit right off the jump to really just, gain the attention of the viewership and just get them captivated by what I was about to speak on. And so, roll out this great presentation, 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, and I'm looking around the room and people are like looking down at their phone. People are fucking like borderline falling asleep. Like everyone's doing anything they can to not pay attention. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I think this is pretty exciting. Like, what's going on? Like, isn't this engaging enough? And I turn around and there's nothing on the fucking screen. So for close to 3.5, 4 minutes, my presentation, all it was music, like grunts and groans as men got tackled into the ground, and no visual for the audience to even know what fucking sport I was trying to teach and show them. So quickly pivoted, recovered, realized I forgot to press the projector button, and did so. And then at that point tried to recover and apologize profusely for the 2.5 minutes of absolute boredom and white screen that everyone was forced and tortured to watch. But that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments. So like taking a big fear and then coupling with that something that failed horribly and wasn't executed the way it was supposed to be, and I would say that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments.
Wow, that stands out still as one of the most embarrassing moments. Yeah.
How many people were in the audience?
It was probably like 16 to 18 people. So decent packed class.
It's funny because it doesn't even matter if it's like
one. If it was one or fucking 1,600. Yeah, it was the same shock factor. I was like, fuck, I failed miserably. Right. So again, something you envision going good in your head.
I was not thinking that. I would think that it would have been something
shitty.
Yeah, like
shitty. Okay, yeah. So
like fighting or something.
So something fighting related. So yeah.
No. That's a good story. I'm surprised that it's not like.
Yeah, give us a shitty story.
You can let them rip.
All right. So there's a I would say this is like an equally shitty story, but so I signed up for this fight on like a week's notice. A few days before, I was hanging out with my Brazilian girlfriend at the time, so I really didn't get that much training in. And long story short, I just wanted to compete. I wanted to, have something on the calendar. So I scheduled the fight.
And you're like, I'm Gareth. I smash.
Yeah,
no big deal.
I smash.
You mean he was skipping training for chicks? What is that about?
No, never. So long story short, I was training,
where were
I was training with chicks.
I
just had the wrong training partners. Yeah. And long story short, so all right, so get ready for this fight. I take it on like 4 days notice. I got to cut, I think like 12 or 15 pounds, which isn't an extreme amount, but difficult nonetheless.
In a week.
And I go, my coach picks me up. We're driving on the LIE or Southern State, and we're driving south, and I see in the left-hand lane a car literally flip over on the fucking roof, invert, and go like complete wheels up and skid probably 10 feet and come to a screeching halt. And I'm like, Brandon, pull over. So Brandon and I, my coach, who's a third-degree black belt, pull over. We get out. We jump the divider. And we realize there's a family in this vehicle. So we literally help like a mom and her 3 kids get out of this vehicle. We're pulling them out from the car as the engine block is starting to smoke and it looks like it's going to catch fire. So we're pulling them out. We get them out. We realize that like they're safe aside from a few cuts and like a mild concussion. We get them to the side of the road, wait for the state troopers to come, and then finally they clear up the accident and tow truck comes, whatever. They're good. They're safe. So that was on the way to this fight. Then I go and I go home. I got to stop home and I got to get some like water and I think my mouthpiece. And like the whole time I'm trying to hide it from the fact that I'm about to jump in a ring and fight for my mom. So I'm like trying to be all secretive, moving around the house. She's like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm going to the gym, Mom. I got jiu-jitsu practice. She's like, why do you have a mouthpiece? She's like, what's up with the Vaseline? She's like asking me all these interrogative questions. Like she knows what's up. She knows I'm going to fight, but she doesn't like call me out on it. So long story short, I sneak out of the house, grab all my shit, get to the venue. It's like it's like the Sons of Italy Lodge in like Deer Park. If anyone knows Deer Park, it's off Deer Park Avenue. And I get there and it's like a sea full of like Russians and probably Albanians and just a bunch of this guy's supporters. So it totally tells me it's a setup fight. So I'm in the back warming up, just cracking pads, throwing, low kicks, just working on some of the techniques that I want to utilize. And they call my name. And as I'm walking out, they don't play my song, which is Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of. So like I don't have walkout music. And then they announce my fight as a Muay Thai fight. I'm like, what the fuck? So we walk out to the ring. I'm like, I didn't sign up for Muay Thai. What the fuck is this? So they're like, we made a mistake. So as I'm walking out to the ring, they're announcing my fight as a Muay Thai fight.
Did you know Muay Thai back then?
Not really. I mean, I knew like a teep kick. I knew how to throw a low kick. That was about the extent of it. But I wasn't trained in Muay Thai.
Yeah, now you are.
Now, I spent time in Thailand and I'm well versed in Muay Thai and Dutch style kickboxing and regular boxing. But at that point, I was very, very green to jiu-jitsu, very green to boxing, very green to all martial arts involving combatives. So all of a sudden, I'm like shook. They're telling me it's a Muay Thai fight. So we go back to the locker room. Long story short, we get out, and they re-announce it as what it's supposed to be, and get out into the ring. And touch gloves, tough Russian kid from, I think, East Coast MMA, or East West MMA. And we scrap right off the bat. There are like a few low kicks, start chopping his base down, exchange with fist strikes. Split him open pretty early, so he's got a cut on his orbital, which I think was an inadvertent headbutt. Didn't mean to, but heads collide, splitting, so I start tasting his own blood. So now I naturally start getting more aggressive and kind of, smell the blood in the water. And so I try to initiate a takedown. I initiate a takedown. We go out of the ring, and this is like an old school like pro wrestling ring, so it's like duct tape turnbuckles. It's fucking a decrepit fighting surface. It's like Fight Club shit, but lower quality. And take him out, then we reset. And right as I have an underhook and an overhook, and I'm trying to go for an outside trip, my right foot buckles, literally gives out on me. He lands in full mount. And this is in front of my little brother, my older brother, my dad, and my coach Brandon, who are literally at this point 3 feet away from me.
Your whole family
Everyone is there.
Your whole family knew about this fight, just not your mom.
Just not my mom, yeah. Well, mama doesn't know, can't hurt me. Sorry, Mom.
She knows now.
She knows now. You're going to find out. So long story short, he fucking starts raining punishment on me. I can't do anything but cover up and try to roll, and I inadvertently roll away. As I roll away, he extends my arm in a brutally tight arm bar, hyperextending my elbow, and the ref at that point calls it because my arm's about to snap in half. And long story short, literally get submitted and humiliated, like high five distance from my little brother, my older brother, my dad, all the important males in my family watch me fucking swallow the bitter pill of defeat as I get my arm hyperextended in front of a sea of Russian Albanians. And to their applause and acclaim, I lose to their champion. So embarrassing, maybe just defeating feeling, but yeah, definitely embarrassed to get my ass kicked in front of my family. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I would say so.
Is all those Russians is how you end up, which we'll get there. Is that why you ended up in Russia?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, a little period of justice.
I'm going to go to Russia.
Yeah, you may have won the battle, but I'm winning the war, bitches.
I'm coming back.
I'm coming to the motherland. Probably, yeah, honestly.
How old were you?
I was like 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, super young. Super green, super young.
Had you started at All Rules yet?
Yes. Yeah. So at that point, I was living down in Florida, and I had one MMA fight before that. I was training with Bruno Malfacini in Alliance Orlando with Brad Thompson, Bruno Malfacini, Jim Allers, UFC vet, my boy Nick. Good crew and good cast of veterans, both in the UFC, Bellator, and had a good team around me. So I did have some preparation, although it was last minute, and at that point I still hadn't developed my striking or even my jiu-jitsu for MMA to any high level.
Yeah. Wow. Just throwing yourself in there.
Basically, and that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I had people literally tell me like, "Oh, don't fight until you're at least a blue belt or a purple belt." I was like, "Fuck that! Like, you're doubting my abilities. Like, watch me. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna scrap and I'm gonna fucking win. And if I don't, whatever."
There's blue belts in main cards on UFC right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And winning.
So yeah, I mean, make sure you got a good camp. Make sure you dedicate the time for any aspiring fighters. Make sure you're doing equal parts jiu-jitsu, equal parts wrestling, equal parts striking. But don't let anyone dissuade you from your ultimate goal of fighting, because there's gonna be a lot of naysayers and a lot of people that dissuade you and, quite honest, just criticize you away from that passion. And
did you catch the last week's fights?
I caught like the highlights,
Did you?
the tail end. Yeah, I didn't watch the full card.
It was the best UFC fight night that I've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Really good prelims. We were like
All
loving all the prelims.
Nice.
Yeah.
All the prelims are the best.
It was crazy.
Who in particular?
It was
Any
crazy.
notable fights that you guys saw? That were
MJ for sure.
MJ,
yeah. Like that was like coming off of what is it, over a year? Or just about a year of an injury and some other things going on. That was just a beautiful fight.
Who did he fight?
I don't remember his name.
I have to look it up.
Okay.
She'll pull it up. But knockout. I think second round knockout.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like a 4-punch combo.
Awesome.
And then he just dropped.
Dropped him.
Yeah.
Yep.
After a year out, and then I got word that he's got 4 more fights lined up now.
Good. Good.
with the UFC.
That's awesome.
We'll be talking to him this weekend.
Okay.
On the podcast. Yeah.
Very cool.
He's good friends with Sydney Gordon, the CEO of Core Med.
Okay.
So they're longtime friends. I've heard some really, really rad stories from Sid about him, like off the books. And
he seems like a wild shot. I mean,
yeah.
you have to be to lock yourself in a cage with another human being.
But the other fight, man, I don't know their names. I think it was the bantamweight ladies.
Okay.
I think it was the same I think it was the same belt as Thug Rose and Esperanza or whatever her name is.
Strawweight.
Strawweight.
Yeah.
So that fight was fucking garbage.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Doug Rose fight. It was like
nothing happened.
An entire all the rounds.
3 rounds
her
of
doing
dancing.
nothing.
Just pitter patter dancing around.
Yeah. I think they were just both scared.
Yep.
And then she lost the belt because of it.
Didn't want to engage. Yeah.
And then on the prelims, dude, they were straight trying to murder each other.
Yes.
That was amazing. They were after it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a young Israeli fighter who had a sick debut. I don't know if that was his UFC debut. I think he fought in the prelims. He fights out of Extreme Couture. That was a really good fight. I did
this last one.
Yeah, I did see the highlights of that.
What's his name?
Is his name Artem? No, it's not. I'm thinking Artem.
We watched the whole thing. Every single fight, all the way until the end, was just.
It was good.
Just amazing.
Yeah. They do a good job with the prelims. Actually, while I was living in Abu Dhabi, I was looking forward to October 22nd. They're having the UFC come to Fight Island, which is at Yas Marina, right next to the Formula One track. And
did you see the highlight of what's it? Raychik, is that his name? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah,
it is knee pop.
Oof, that was brutal.
Bro.
Yeah.
I was like.
Who did he fight? Jan? Did he find Jan Blachowicz?
The big Swede.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
I think he would have won anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just based off what I was watching and the way he was going. I mean, they're both phenomenal people, but
what caused the knee to give out?
He said it was an injury, but it actually looked like an ACL pop. But the whole knee in slow motion, you watch it pop. He like steps back on it. And you watch it actually, his whole knee just go tort. And we can throw up. We can, for those of you listening and watching, we'll have the clip up there. But
was it knees shifting or was the kneecap
down
that went
down?
It went
patella tendon probably.
It was on the outside of it. Oof. So
lateral LCL, patella tendon, ACL.
I think they said it was a ACL, but you watch the whole thing and when that popped, his whole kneecap went down and back.
God. Yeah,
and and that was it.
Especially the slow-mo reels.
He dropped.
Total knee destruction. Yeah,
that's dropped.
People don't realize the physical toll that combat sports pose on the joints and ligaments. And we were talking about it. I was wrestling with a young cat on Monday night, and he shot in for a low single, and I stepped back. And as I was stepping back, my left knee planted, buckled, and I felt my MCL and my meniscus pop. And it's just such a temperamental structure, knees and shoulders, and you really got to be selective with who you train with and who you roll with for that reason.
Yeah, if you're
especially at a certain level.
Yeah, if you're going to be a competitor, you got to pick and
safeguard
choose.
your body.
Be smart.
So I keep telling my wife, I'm like, you don't have to roll. You don't have to say yes to everybody in Crest.
No.
Hey, mama didn't raise no bitch, right, Allie?
I mean, I'm just trying to get better. So
yeah,
you getting better.
No, and that's
your husband on the other
hand. Keeping an open mind is good, and rolling with a diverse array of different training partners is definitely essential to that development. I was talking to Nick before. It's good to have training partners that are less skilled than you, so you can mentor them and coach them with techniques and improve their game. Right? It's good to have people that are the same skill, strength, technical level as you, so you can really test and gauge yourself before a competition with someone who's equal playing field. And then it's good to have the guys who smash you, and just really put you in horrible positions.
Yeah, because when I started with Crest, that's what I came to they call it the Simpson Silver class in the morning. So it was like that morning crew it's
a wrecking crew.
It's a wrecking crew, man.
100%. I wish I had more chance to roll with everyone this morning, but, I definitely will come back and just a great depth of people.
So it's weird for me when I go to a different class and I'm used to just getting fucking pounded.
Yeah.
Pounded.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, this is not the way it always is.
Exactly. I don't always have to be the nail. Sometimes it can be the hammer. This is awesome. This is great.
It's way better.
Yeah. Wow. Holy hell.
So we'll be seeing you more in the evenings?
No. I like my morning guys.
I had to beg him to come last night. I was begging.
To last night's class.
You had to be begged to come.
But it's good, right? Class. Like there's a good amount of, lower belts, middle belts, and then the higher belts, right?
Well,
it's a good diverse
that's
array.
a fundamental.
The girls always come in.
Class.
That's perfect. Yeah.
So,
it's good to roll with guys, but you also need the female realism.
Well, she's competing on the 28th.
Oh, awesome. Whereabouts?
Myrtle Beach.
Oh, incredible. That's awesome. It's exciting.
We'll see.
You just got to treat it like another day at the office, like another role.
She's gonna crush it.
Yeah, you're gonna dominate.
I hope so.
Bring it home, babe.
Yeah.
I'll buy you a steak. Otherwise, you're getting, I don't know, something else.
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Yeah. Call it cold frozen chicken nuggets.
You and Dimitri are sharing nugs.
I don't think that fits into my macros.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into talking about what you do now, like let's talk about Russia.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you have to back up before Russia to talk a little bit about your fighting career, but like I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear about Mother Russia.
Yeah. So I got the opportunity in 2018 to represent the United States and go to Minsk, Belarus.
But how? Like, what were you doing?
So basically, I went to this gym, International Training Center, in a basement in Queens, and I had to try out, and I just basically like had 7 or 8 dudes who were waiting for me to this fucking spar heavy and just knock my head off, and that was kind of how they set it up.
Were you with a promoter before then? Or?
Yeah, I had fought for a few different promotions, and then I put kind of MMA on the back burner. So I competed in MMA from like when I was 20 to probably like 23, 24, and then I started to get in the process to become a federal special agent. And so I was in that for like 2.5 years. So then I kind of regressed from MMA. I just heavily concentrated on improving my skills and coaching at the UFC gym, but then also, pursuing my black belt. So when the federal special agent process didn't materialize, then I tried to get into naval special warfare. So I was part of this, it's called the Warrior Challenge. It was a prep program where we had 2 SO1 SEALs who basically prepped us in the PST qualifications for
your
entry level. So I was doing that, was sparring, Muay Thai, threw a low kick. He checked it with his knee. Long story short, broke my foot. 2 days later, still ran in like a 4.5 mile run around Lake Ronkonkoma for Michael Murphy's memorial. And then like the first quarter mile, I planted, buckled, popped, swelled up, couldn't walk on it for like 3 months. Still was doing the PSTs and still getting qualifying scores, but my foot was just incapacitated.
Was it all from fighting or just
it was like a combination of breaking my foot in my first ever MMA fight then re-injuring it in Muay Thai sparring, and then like destroying it in a running event around Lake Ronkonkoma.
It was just
residual overuse,
mileage.
Mileage, and never letting my foot truly heal, and just kind of training through it.
Which is a lesson there for young people.
Yeah, listen to your body. It doesn't pay to be tough sometimes. Sometimes it's good to just dial it back. Refocus,
I think
readdress.
we lose that though. We lose that thought, especially when we're young. We're like, we got to drive.
Yes.
But it's like you don't realize how much life you have to live.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking 6 months off to rehab properly, can actually
pays dividends.
It pays dividends for a career. Like maybe your career, if it's a fighter career, your military career, whatever it is that you want to do, you might have a lot more time in it if you give the time to your body.
Yep. Yeah, it's been my detrimental fatal flaw, just overtraining and not listening to my body.
Gareth, what was the first level of law enforcement you applied for?
The ATF.
Right.
ATF.
So, without mentioning any names and stuff, can you tell what happened?
Yeah.
Why that went down?
So that was pretty wild experience. So, it was basically actually Tyler the fortunate privilege of meeting Devil Woman. But long story short, we won't mention any names. I was basically in a relationship where, it was basically very one-sided. And there was a lot of manipulation, control. Long story short, I would try to go to jiu-jitsu some mornings, and I would get barricaded in the apartment and then just randomly punched in the mouth. Or when I was trying to break up with this individual, basically got threatened. Basically, they pulled a knife on me, and they were like, if you leave and break up with me, then I'm going to use this knife on either you or myself. And so long story short,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Did she poop in your bed?
She probably. Because I had this case of pink eye for like 2 years. That all makes sense.
Too soon?
Yeah. So long story short, I basically she took my cell phone. I went back to the apartment to try to retrieve my cell phone. At that point, she pulled a knife on me. At the point of getting a knife pulled on me, basically she's like, all right, if you leave and break up with me, I'm going to either cut you or I'm going to slit my wrists. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So I was like the Twilight Zone. I basically
Felicia.
was numb. I basically didn't react in any emotional way. I was just shocked and horrified that this was taking place. Long story short, I conceded to her wishes. I let her do her thing. She locked herself in the bedroom. At that point, I just waited on the couch because I didn't want her to hold up to her side of the bed and do anything to hurt herself.
And how old were you at the time?
I was like 20, 25.
So you don't even have like the emotional intelligence
exactly.
to deal with this
I didn't
kind
know.
of situation.
I never in the wildest dreams thought this shit was going to happen to me. And leading up to that, I was in the process for 2.5 years. So I did every aspect of the federal special agent process, the polygraph test, the background check, the investigation, the panel interview, all the diagnostic and, IQ testing, the emotional testing. I basically was waiting for the phone call to go down to FLETC and start my dream job of being a federal special agent.
Yeah.
And she knew that. She saw me study. She saw how much this meant to me, that I put all my ambitions of fighting and jiu-jitsu on the back burner for this pursuit of this goal. And that's why she held it over my head, and that's why she did what she did. And I still have no ill will towards her. I really don't. But, what she did was absolutely evil. Long story short, I wait on the couch, police roll in like fucking SEAL Team 6, draw down on me. I'm basically sitting on the couch at this point, just concede arrest. I get arrested. I basically spent a night in central booking. Long story short, I have to go through this whole court process, and I lose the opportunity to become a federal special agent. At that point, I pivoted, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to continue teaching, continue coaching, pursue my black belt, and really just invest my time towards bettering my clients, working with kids with special needs, teaching kids with Down syndrome, boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai.
Which you still do to this day.
Which I still do, yeah. And then also just being there more full-time for my clients, for strength and conditioning, weight loss, really just trying to empower people and not let my negative situation affect, my quality of life. Long story short, then I started to get the itch. If federal special agent processes can, then I want to go and pursue a military career. And so that's when I started to train with the NSW group to basically prep and prime myself for the rigors of BUDS. At that point, after probably 7-8 months of like finally getting my swim time down, finally getting my run time down, like at 2:30, making decent times. I wasn't the fastest guy in 2 feet, but I was a good teammate, and I exhibited, I think, some good leadership qualities. And, I think I would have been an asset to potential military service. But then I break my foot, so then that dream gets just fucking crushed and basically stripped from me for no one else's fault but my own, and not listening to my body and overtraining. So then I was like, all right, back to the drawing board. All right, I'll get back to martial arts. I'll get back to fighting. So after a 6-year layoff from MMA, I decided to go back to the cage and fight.
And how old are you this time?
This time I am, so this is probably like 28, 29 at this point. So there is some time where I was like
getting a little older.
Yeah, I'm definitely not getting any younger.
So real quick, go back. What happened with the court? Like, what did they? Because that's just absolutely, the whole thing is a setup and ridiculous.
Yeah, it was set up. Like, long story short, they found out that she had done this to another boyfriend, railroaded him. Prosecution that she was using later got disbarred for failure to let the defense permit evidence in the courtroom. And sent 2 guys upstate. So it was basically a horrible setup. Went through the process, didn't have the money to really fight it in court. So they made me, against my will, take a plea, which was horrible, basically admitting to something that I never would fathom doing.
And of course
I'm a guy. I'm a man. I'm a 6'3", 230-pound man with cauliflowered ears. So
you're huge.
Who's going to believe my story?
It happens all the time. All the time.
And I thought I was the only one. I thought I was like some outlier. I thought it was some
No, it's a thing.
Horrible experience. And look what's happening to Johnny Depp right now. Prime example. It's a lot more common than we think, and it is something that needs to be
but nobody wants to talk about the whole
no one wants to talk about it. Yeah.
So let's just focus on dudes being horrible.
Yeah, dudes being horrible.
Like there's no woman out there that's ever been horrible.
Yeah, exactly. It's so biased.
Or malicious or anything.
Antagonizing. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things. There's like straight women who are like, hit me, like getting you riled up in your face crazy. I've seen it happen.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Gareth brought this lady down twice. Cody and I both quickly realized there was an issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't want to get too involved. So I get the call after he leaves the second time, finding out what had happened. I was just, my stomach just
it was horrible.
It was horrible for you, bro.
Yeah.
But, like these things happen, like, and you've failed. You're going to call it a failure a ton.
More than I've ever succeeded. Yeah.
Yeah. But what does that do to you?
Man, it catapults you to greater heights of success. It creates grit and determination and never quit, always forward attitude. And it essentially gives you the realization that no one is responsible for your internal happiness, and no external circumstance should ever change your positive mental attitude for anything.
But I would
always get better.
I would even say, and I've seen this in my own life, is these situations are horrible, right? And we've all had them. If you lived long enough, you've had some bad shit happen to you.
100%.
Right? Could be your fault, could be somebody else's fault. Doesn't matter. It's a bad situation. I think they create opportunities.
Without a doubt.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. They creates an opportunity for the next chapter and the next thing. And sometimes doors open because those bad things happen and those doors shut, to where now I'm like, oh, wow, I am where I am at, or I met this person, or I did this thing, or I got this opportunity because that thing happened.
Exactly.
And that could change a person's life.
Yeah.
But when we're in it, it's so devastating that it's hard to be like, oh, this is a good thing. you know what I
you're
mean?
so
like,
focused, and to you, it's like the most devastating thing.
Life's over.
Yeah, life is over. Life,
Yeah.
as you know it, is done. Whether it be to end a career in the military, to end a career as a fighter, to go through a divorce. It's the identity death that you suffer when there's a drastic emotional and sometimes traumatic change in your existence, and that can cause a ripple effect of depression, despair, anxiety. And I think the best strategy around that is to just have the wherewithal to realize that we are the master and commanders of our fate, and our mental happiness depends on not letting the external circumstances that we cannot control dictate our inner peace and our inner happiness, and controlling the controllable, and let everything else fall in place, because it's never over. There's always a fighting chance. It's like getting flattened out by someone who's 300 pounds. There's going to be a time where they gas out, and there's going to be a little split second of space and time where you can escape, and just keep fighting no matter what, because you never want to do a permanent solution to a temporary problem, right? And a lot of people use that as the out. And shit, man, I've definitely been in the deepest, darkest depths of depression and despair. And, you get to that point where you feel like there's no point in going on. And that's a horrible place to be, but
that's the only way you lose.
That's the only way you lose. Yeah. And that's in your hands, and you fucking quit.
If you keep going, like you keep going forward, you're going to win.
You're going to win eventually. Yeah. It may take a while, but you're going to win. And
I love the whole saying, like, and it gets repetitive about the jiu-jitsu stuff, of course, but the difference in a white belt or a blue belt and a black belt is they just forgot to quit.
Exactly.
They just kept showing up for however many years, whether it's 10 years, 15, 20 years.
You just consistently show up.
Like the guy who was 68 that started jiu-jitsu and he just got his black belt. I don't know his name.
Yes.
Freaking amazing. Like 70 something.
I thought you were going to say the saying from jiu-jitsu that came to mind was good students don't need water and bad students don't deserve it. Is that not what you're
I think that's the Dan Gable approach, where you don't earn water until you win.
This is my coach, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I like that mentality.
But it is, though. It's like the only way that you truly lose in life is when you give up.
100%.
Right?
Other than that,
that's not an option.
Yeah.
It takes what time it takes, and then you have a choice whether to stay in that sorrow and pity party or to move on and build something from it.
You have a choice. You could be the victim or you could be the victor. And it's just that simple, right? And it's up to you to decide how you look at the situation, the problem at hand, and how you come up with a viable solution, right? But the sure shit way to not get out of that problem and to not create a solution is to be negative, or to play the victim card, or the woe is me, or I could fucking write a novella. I could write a Spanish television series as all the fucked up shit that's happened to me and all the fucking devastation and disappointment.
Maybe you should. That'd be
Maybe
cathartic.
I should, man. Some buena oportunidad para mí. And I could do that, but where would that get me? That would get me nowhere. Other than using it as a motivational tool for people that are struggling, I focus on the positive. I focus on what's ahead.
So let's just roll it out here.
Yeah.
You get fucked by an Amber Heard, and not in the good way.
No.
Not in the fun way. And then you break your foot.
Yeah.
Because you're a big dumb animal.
Yep.
And then now we're fighting.
I break my foot and I fucking destroy it to the point where I literally have to wear like these giant oversized Air Jordans to do my PSTs, and I'm still running, and every time I'm running it's crunching and popping and swelling up 3 times the size.
Dope.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome feeling. Literally would fucking go numb. There's times where I get caught. There's literally times where I get stuck on the toilet bowl. So I in the mornings, and if Tyler I ever get stuck in the bathroom longer than expected, it's because I can't get up. Where my right foot will go numb, and then I literally have to prop one hand on the sink, and then use one hand, usually not on the toilet paper roll. I've done that before, and it came down out of the wall. So I usually prop one hand here,
Learned his lesson
and then I do one of these. I like basically to get back up because my foot goes numb because I have nerve damage in the broken foot and just like bone fragments floating around in that fucking thing.
Yeah.
So it's like a club. I feel like Captain Ahab. Sometimes I feel like I have a peg leg that doesn't work. Although I do have a foot, it doesn't always function.
How does it feel when you swing that thing now?
I don't really feel it that much anymore because I think the nerves are deadened. So I just swing it like a Louisville Slugger. So I love kicking. I love kicking people in the head with it. I love kicking Tyler in the leg.
It's my dead foot. I don't feel anything.
I wonder why that thing keeps touching me.
It's my stanky leg. So I like using it, and I love kicks. So it's just something I work around. But because of that, my left knee has started to give out a little bit. But long story short, so get out of the Navy process or just take some time away from that.
Yeah.
And that was a huge bitter pill to swallow. I felt like the ultimate pansy, and never having served my country is something I've always battled with. And I know service comes into a multitude of different forms, but I've always had the dream of serving in uniform, right? Long story short, decided to take an MMA fight, get back in the saddle, and fight a very tough dude, Ron Marshall, who, had at least like 12 to 13 MMA fights at that point. At that time, I had only had 2 to date and was taking a 6-year layoff. So to come back against a game opponent and fight really with not that much prep time, definitely drew some attention, and people were like, really, you want to get back in this even with a broken foot? But I did. It was something I had to do to get myself out of the doldrum and negative space that I was in,
which goes against everything we just said.
Exactly.
Like healing.
But it was so healing to my spirit, my soul, and my mindset that it was worth any risk of my foot.
Because men need a purpose.
Yes.
We're like that. We're like a bad dog. And if we don't have purpose, then we're digging holes in the yard.
Task-oriented creatures. The moment you lose that task, you lose your purpose. You stop wanting to get out of bed. You just self-loathe. You self-medicate. And then I knew.
Self-destruct.
You self-destruct. It would be downward slippery slope. So as NSW thing kind of went to the wayside, I knew I had to replace it with something else. So I was like, all right, fuck it. If my own country won't take me and I can't fight our nation's battles, then I'll fight on my own terms as a fucking mercenary in the cage. And so that's what I did. I decided to just then fight, and had a good 3-round battle with Ron Marshall, and afterwards shared a beer together and realized that I love the sport for the competition and the ferocity, intensity of MMA, and the training. I love the journey and preparation, everything from the weight cut to the weigh-in to the actual fight, and the beer drinking afterwards with your opponent. I love the respect factor where you literally try to tap, nap, or snap or knock out your adversary, and then you drink a beer with them afterwards. I love that. That's something that I think more sports need, and was a huge selling point of me loving rugby, right? So MMA has that same quality.
Hey, where did our fire department applications fit in?
Oh yeah, so talk about that. Yeah,
Gareth and I took a week and applied to the Wilmington fire department.
Yeah.
While you're in school?
No, this was what year was that? Like 15, 16 or something?
16. Yeah. I think I failed by like a point or
Neither
something. So another failure. Another glorious victory in my corner. Yeah.
Neither of us.
This is what Tyler's really good at.
Kick a man while he's down, right?
I didn't get any.
Have you done anything good with your life? The answer is no.
Some guys we used to train with were like, "Hey, we're hiring. You guys should try out." like we thought, like, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, shoe in.
So
We're
you're
good.
You're
We're
gonna
good.
get us in, right? And we go in there and like basically failed one of 2 tests and had an interview that apparently sucked, and we
Were you
we
guys
didn't
like
make it.
what was that movie? Step Brothers.
Basically,
were you guys like Step Brothers showing up for firefighter
Interview
duty?
back behind each other.
Basically, I think they wrote that about us. So yeah, another point of failure, another thing that didn't work out or go according to plan.
I had to shave my damn face. I look like a little fat baby.
Yeah, remember that baby koala? Yeah, that was fucking hysterical.
I hated that.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up, Tyler. Really,
Good times. Hey, I didn't feel any
count
better
on you
about
for
it.
everything.
Trust me.
Yeah. So yeah, add that to the list.
So
Of failures.
So that first fight, did you win your first fight?
I won. Yeah, I won the first fight, and just having the support and acclaim, and being able to restore my family name and my reputation through my actions of representing jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai with respect and integrity, and my team and my family and those who supported me, and realizing that whatever slander campaign this individual was on, who railroaded me, none of it was valid. It was all bullshit, and this is who I am, and I got to definitively fucking stomp my foot in the middle of the cage and let the world know, like, this is who I am, motherfuckers, and like, don't get it twisted. Like, I'm gracious, kind, humble, and caring, but I'm a savage motherfucker who, if crossed, will destroy. And that was kind of the cool testament in the duality of martial arts that I like. You get to have the balance of both worlds, right? Yeah. And from that point, I had the itch, so I started to scratch it. And at the opportunity of going to Minsk, Belarus to compete for the United States, and again, I proceeded to a small basement of Steinway in Astoria, Queens, and I met with Greg Gutman, who actually used to be on Putin's Russian judo national team, and he proposed to me that the Russian Federation was sponsoring a team of American athletes to come over to Minsk, Belarus to compete in like a world championship of hand-to-hand combat, which is basically combat sambo with less of a ground game. So combat sambo, you could take your adversary down and then keep them there, and hand-to-hand fighting to make the fights more exciting, promote knockouts, promote exchange of action. You have 30 seconds to essentially finish your opponent on the ground. So,
and if you don't, they stop and you stand back up?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
What finishes are acceptable?
So knockouts by fist, knees, kicks, full gambit of strikes, and any submission you want.
Right on.
Up to neck cranks. You could even neck crank people.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you can't do jiu-jitsu submission. You just got to do it in 30 seconds.
You can do jiu-jitsu submissions, but you have 30 seconds to execute. Damn. So it's like, it's just rapid fire.
You got to wrap. You got to grab it.
So I had these crazy
athletes, right?
Yeah. I mean, these guys, like, most of them, they're all pros or box for the Russian national team, or, fought in Holland, Dutch-style kickboxing, or represented Iran and, karate. It was cool. It was like kind of just like a kumite of guys from all over the world representing their nation and their country. And
almost
we
like
went
their
there.
own version of UFC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we, basically went. We were supposed to have 4 people go, and last minute, day before, I had 2 teammates bail out. And it was basically myself, my coach, Greg, his son, Dan, and then my other coach. And my other coach, at 63 years old, decided to compete. And 82nd Airborne vet, US HWY, pro-level kickboxer from New York, tough as nails.
He was how old?
He was 62, I want to say. Anywhere from God bless you, anywhere from 58 to like 62, 63, yeah. And he went out there, man, like threw down right off the jump, got head kicked. I saw him like spit out a huge puddle of blood from his mouth, bit down, and just kept proceeding forward. He wound up fighting once, wound up losing pretty handily, and then he got back out there and fought a second time. And that was probably the spectacle of the weekend. Like, just the whole arena was up in applause, commending him for his actions.
What kind of notice did he have to get in there?
Like 2 days. Like, he basically was like, "Yo, G, I can't let you fight alone, man. So I'll strap him up." And he took one of the other teammates' gis and
that guy's a badass.
His gloves, and he fucking strapped him up. He laced him up, and he threw down. Like a fucking a warrior
just
poet
so you didn't
on
have to
short
fight
notice.
alone.
Just so I didn't have to fight alone, and I had the confidence of knowing that I wasn't the only one going out there. And it was crazy. We arrived at this arena, and
now this is a one and done kind of thing, or did you stay over there for a while?
This was a 1-day tournament, but you had the opportunity to fight 4 or 5 times in one day.
Okay.
And so, Yeah, it was crazy. We got there like 9 o'clock at night the day before the tournament. Of course, you're going across multiple time zones.
Oh,
we
that's
basically,
horrible,
yeah,
dude.
no rest. Like I slept for maybe 2 hours. You know, you check into the hotel, you see all the other athletes. So you see all the Russian dudes who are all hydrated, who have been there for a week training, acclimating. You see the Belarusians, you see the Dagestanis, you see guys from Iran, Pakistan, like Holland, Germany,
They've probably all
over
been
the
there.
world.
They're all recovered.
All
Yeah.
hydrated, very fluent with the arena, and they've competed there before. Rico Rodriguez was the only other American, one of the only other Americans who went over there. He went over there like 2-3 years before, and then I was with the second or third batch of Americans to go for the first time. And so we get there, we do the weigh-in. Mind you, I'm weighing in at like 225. All the guys I'm fighting, like 285 to 300 pounds. So I'm giving up like 60 to 65 pounds. So I was on the like just seafood diet. Like I saw food, I ate it. It didn't matter what it was. I was just trying to carb load, get the glycogen stores up, and just put on as much size and weight as possible, you know, without letting my cardio struggle, of course. Yeah. So we weigh in. I go to sleep. Maybe 3 hours tops.
What was the weigh-in?
I weighed in at I think 225.
Holy shit.
And my first opponent was probably 245. My second opponent, like 285, 290. And then a guy I fought in the semifinals was a good 300 pounds and
that's
like 6'5".
That's
the
story I want to get to.
Yeah, he was the Belarusian champ from the year before. So get to the tournament. Russia's got a team of 40 males, at least like 20 to 25 females, all in matching, you know, uniforms, tracksuits, warming up. Every team, every country, same thing. Russia had the biggest team, and then maybe like Germany and France. Long story short, they're all looking professional as shit. They're all like orderly. They've got multiple coaches running them through drills. And my boy Luis and I are just there by ourselves, literally with the American flag on our back, just like, all right, let's fucking pummel. Let's go through some kickboxing drills. Let's do some Dutch style techniques, and let's just fucking hope for the best. Let's just fight valiantly. Mind you, it was Memorial Day weekend, so we were representing not only our country, but the memorial of all the people that have served and paid the ultimate price for that country, right? So, yeah, I draw a fucking Russian in the first round. Actually, a guy from Estonia, so, you know, former Soviet country. But long story short, tough kickboxer, very tall, lanky, probably like 235. And my strategy is, because they just reintroduced low kicks to the sport that year, was to just butcher the lead leg of my adversary. So I saw him very like good, solid boxing. I knew I didn't want to throw hands with him, but I still did anyway, just to say fuck you, like I'll throw down with you, I don't care.
Which is interesting, because you're seeing a lot of that in the past year and a half.
Yeah.
In the UFC.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, I want to take it to the ground, but I only have 30 seconds. Can I finish someone? Can I submit someone with such a limited time frame? The cool thing about this sport is I would throw a 3-piece combo, and if my adversary countered back with a 3-piece combo, my points would be canceled out. Oh. So it's a beautiful concept because it promotes the counter exchange. Yeah. So literally I'll throw, you know, kitchen sink at this dude 3-4 punches after that, and if he throws the same amount of punches, he negates my scoring points from those strikes, which is awesome. So it promotes this insane high-paced intensity that really you don't see in even a lot of MMA fights, right? Yeah, so back and forth. You know, him and I just basically towed the line, threw down. You know, I was hitting him with 3-piece combos. He was hitting me with 3-piece combos. And then I would finish with a low kick. So I'd always chop the low, so that as soon as his leg would start to buckle, I'd see his left hand drop, and I'd come over the top with an overhand right or straight right cross. I did that a few times to the point where he was so frustrated on the feet, hit him with like a front kick, jumping front kick, and then backed him up. And then you could also push your opponent out. Every time you push him out, it's X amount of points. So butcher the leg, 3-piece combos, finished with a low kick, and then went back right up to the stairs, to the head. That was my strategy. And eventually weathered him away, hit him with some good heavy shots. He shot in, and as he's shooting in, I cinch up a guillotine. So the guillotine, his head's on the right side, the ref is on the left side. So I'm literally strangling this guy. He's tapping. I could feel him going limp in my arms, but the ref doesn't see. So I literally bring him to the point of death, and then obviously release, and he regains consciousness. But that was the first fight. So I wound up winning the first fight by guillotine submission. Yep.
You guys, you fight in a gi, right?
In a gi, in a kimono,
That's interesting as well, like striking and
so
and everything.
What kind of gloves?
So they're like these, I don't know what the hell the material is. They almost feel like they're like like buckshot filled. It's like this heavy weighted fucking sand, and they look like it's almost like you got like two hooks. So you put your fingers in this way, and then they hook into this like big padded like beanbag, and your thumb is exposed, so you could somewhat grip and grapple. But training with those gloves was annoying as hell because I'd cinch in like submissions in practice, and then I'd have no ability or leverage to grab onto fabric because like the configuration of the glove is so weird. You basically have like two meat hooks and a thumb. That's it. So you're just like trying to grab and grip. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to punch this dude in the face. And so that's what I did. So long story short, you're very compromised with your grips. So it was interesting. Very much less dexterous than like an MMA glove, even like a pride glove, the pre-curve gloves, right? But, you know, you make do with what you got. So that, a traditional kimono top and then traditional kimono bottom. So jiu-jitsu gear with...
It reminds me of, what was that movie?
Gloves.
Great. I thought it was a great movie. You didn't like it. Born Champion. Tyler didn't like that movie.
The acting's a little
cheesy.
But
whatever.
The overall story is pretty awesome.
Did you watch it?
Yes. So that was on Netflix.
You know it's a great movie?
It was a great movie.
You know it's a great movie?
Jiu-jitsu one.
Fistfoot Way.
Fistfoot Way?
Fistfoot Way.
I haven't seen Fistfoot Way.
I haven't seen it.
Is that one of those Korean martial art movies? Like cult classics?
Danny McBride.
Ooh.
He owns a dojo.
Jesus Christ.
Okay,
That's fantastic.
That explains it now.
There we go. Thanks.
Hey, I'm all about some eastbound and down.
Yeah,
We'll
thanks.
watch
Thanks,
it tonight.
Coach.
Schaefer BMW represent.
We'll watch that tonight, Gareth. Don't worry.
We should.
But yeah, when he goes over to Dubai. I think it was Dubai.
Yes.
And he's like, it's like an old school MMA fight. They're just like putting two people together, and he's in a gi with some gloves.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it was like, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like old school, like UFC 1 days where you know Hoist is in a kimono and he's fighting Art Jimerson, who's got a free hand in one and then a boxing.
I think
glove
he
in the
was in
other.
that movie too, wasn't he?
I can't remember. Maybe
He
was.
showed. I think he shows up at the end.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he shows up at
That's
the end.
funny,
Anyways,
Did you see it, Gareth?
I saw a little bit of it.
He
I
turned
didn't
it
watch
off as well, it sounds like.
I didn't watch it in its entirety. Kingdom is a good MMA show. I don't know if you
That
watched
was
Kingdom.
awesome.
That is good.
that was awesome.
That is really good. My friend was a set director for that show, actually.
I don't want to give anything away for that, but I was like the ending.
super,
I was like,
super,
what the
super
fuck?
good. Yeah.
it was a great movie.
Wild. Like, definitely dark, definitely heavy.
Yeah.
So long story short, that was the first opponent. Eastern Europe, I believe Estonia to be
How much time do you
exact.
get between the first and the second?
So in between, I basically I tweaked my knee, so I think I slightly strained my meniscus, and I'm telling my coach, I'm like, hey coach, my knee buckled, I don't know, it feels weird, I just want to let you know. He's like, so what do you want me to do? You going to be pussy and not fight? Or do you fight and represent country? So coach, that wasn't the option. I wasn't backing out. I just wanted to let you know that my right knee is pretty fucked.
Maybe some ice
and
or
I can't
something.
plant on it, bro. You got an ice pack? You got some mineral ice for me? You know,
Grab lapel, squat.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, all right, well, note taken. I wasn't going to surrender. I wasn't giving up. I just want to let you know the status of my body. So the next person I fight is this monstrous Iranian, and just at least 290 to 300 pounds. Heavy kickboxer. I watched him warm up. Super, super heavy-handed. He looked like a fucking Iranian Persian bear. And he basically, I knew what he wanted to do. I knew he wanted to just stay in the pocket and knock me out with his hands. And so obviously I didn't want that to take place. So I needed to keep him in kicking range. So I used a lot of teep kicks. Every time he would get close, I'd push kick him in the sternum. I push kick him in the face. I threw a flying snap kick at his head and landed pretty flush and just pushed him out of bounds. So he knew that he was going to pay every time he tried to load up in on his punches and just start throwing down with me. So it was good. I set the precedent early and often, and he knew if he fucked around, he was going to find out either by my fists or my legs. So long story short, that fight went well. He got me with some good shots. He clipped me in the back of the head. He got me with some good solid combinations when he did pull me into grappling range. And then I was able to basically, as he was trying to box me, I was able to get an overhook and an underhook, get a body lock, take him down. And then as I was taking him down, got him in like a traditional Keisekatami scarf hold, dropped my inside hip on his solar plexus and just cranked his neck with just swift, deadly fury. And he tapped momentarily. It's probably the quickest, most forceful neck crank I've ever done because I was trying to rip his head off. And I only had 30 seconds to do it, right? So I finish him with a traditional headlock, I guess,
You didn't
in
turn
judo.
it into Suzanne Summers?
Keisekatami. So yeah, that was how I finished the second opponent. So it was pretty cool. Like, you only had 30 seconds to finish an opponent with jiu-jitsu, and I was able to finish my first opponent with a guillotine and the second opponent with a case of gatami.
What belt were you at the time?
I was, at that point, I was like a brown belt.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe I was a brown belt. Or maybe purple belt with like 3 stripes. I think I was purple with 3 stripes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd been training jiu-jitsu for like 7 years.
So you weren't no punk.
I wasn't no punk.
What year was this?
Mama ain't raised no fool. Or punk. This was 2018.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So that was the second fight. Third fight was a dude from Holland. And then that basically was uneventful. And the fourth fight was the
you win your third one?
Yeah. Yep. Reigning champ.
How'd you win that one?
That was
Decision?
like, yeah, that was basically what wasn't a good scrap. It was just basically like, yeah, it wasn't worth.
Did he dance with you?
Little bit,
Yeah.
little dance, little slow waltz. Fourth fight was with the Belarusian champ. I'd watched him knock out and sleep
this is what
three,
I wanted to hear, 'cause I've heard
four
this story.
guys in a row,
Yeah.
and just almost like a Fedor Emelianenko type, like bald-headed, just burly fucking Russian who just had super, super heavy-handed boxing and was just keen on knocking every adversary out. So I watched one dude fall to him.
Size?
He was like 6'4", 6'5", probably like at least 300 pounds. He's a big dude.
He had like 75 pounds on you.
Easily 75 to 80 pounds on me. Yeah, I was like 225. He was like definitely pressing 300.
That's crazy.
How tall are you?
6'3". So I was definitely tall, maybe tall as some of the guys. Obviously not the 6'5" giant, but they had significant weight and muscular advantage over me. So I knew I needed to, from a strategical standpoint, outmaneuver, create angles of attack and just use volume striking as well as distance and range mitigation and just my, superior cardio to my advantage. And that's kind of what I was able to execute effectively. But right off the bat, he's a southpaw. I hit him with like a straight cross hook, liver kick, fucking eats it like a champion, and proceeds to just blitz me out of bounds. Obviously, he gets points for pushing me out of bounds. We then get funneled back into the center of the ring or the mat space and proceed to kind of lock horns again. This goes on for about 4.5, 5 minutes where it's just me trying to pick him apart from the outside and him just loading up on everything and trying to knock me out. Long story short.
Was he getting gassed by that time?
He was getting a little gassed, yeah.
Just by throwing those
Just by throwing, yeah. He was starting to get gassed, so I was able to like take advantage of that and kind of pick him apart from the outside. And I came to terms with the full fact that I was probably going to get knocked out. And I literally said a little prayer as I stepped on the mat. I was like, please, God, if I do get knocked out, make it swift and painless and make me get finished in an honorable way, especially being Memorial Day weekend.
And then he stops when I knock.
Yeah, exactly. Please let him drop his hands and let me crack him in the jaw and put him out with one swift punch.
Hey,
please, God.
I remember watching these either live or in close succession after they.
Wait a minute, these are out there?
Did you have those? Did you have like a link or something? I can't remember.
I think so. I think it was on a link. Yeah, these are out there. The footage is like shitty. I should have had like a camera crew with me, but I do have like grainy like cell phone footage of these fights. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, so we can put if we can put these up while they're watching, while we're talking about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, I got some footage. I have to dig through the archives, but I'll send them your way for sure. All right, so that was basically wound up losing. A decision. Don't get knocked out. Basically, by the grace of God, I don't get knocked out. I don't get finished. I survive. Afterwards, the crowd, I think, finally started to respect myself. Finally started to respect.
I remember you
the American flag. And was, one of the first Americans to make it to the podium. So, nothing more prideful probably in my life up to this date than to have the American flag wrapped around my shoulders and step on the podium with, the Belarusian champion, the guy who, won 2 years ago from Russia, and this international pool of very talented mixed martial artists, boxers, judo guys, combat sambo specialists, and just being amongst those ranks was a very rewarding and highlight.
So that last fight, how many rounds was it?
It was just one. So
just one round.
These are one like 5 to 6 minute rounds. So very quick, very tournament style MMA essentially with the kimono and like a combat.
How was he
judo rule set.
Into that fight?
He was cool. He was definitely tired.
No,
physiologically, he was definitely tired, definitely gassed. But had I gone back, and of course, hindsight's 2020, I would have went in with a little bit different of a strategy, but I just knew like if I stood toe to toe with him,
every fight, every match, you're always
you can always improve.
You're always going to look at it and go, I should have done this, I should have done that.
Exactly. You can always get better, right? There's always marked areas for improvement. So yeah, that concluded basically the tournament. I got third place out of all the competitors of all the different countries.
So how many people total?
In my bracket, man, probably like 25 maybe.
And you took third and the only American.
Yeah. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely like a pivotal moment and something that really kind of catapulted my momentum. I mean, I had literally before I left, I had clients telling me like, gee, I'm really worried about you going to Eastern Europe and Russia. You know how tough the Russian people are. Mr. Gotti, I'm good friends with John Gotti Jr. He's one of my sparring partners, and he had helped me in preparations for this trip. And, Mr. Gotti, Teflon Don Jr. is literally like, gee, I don't feel safe with you going over here. If you need anything at all, here's my number. You give me a call. I said, Mr. Gotti, consider it done. I'll be all right. I'm either going to come home with my shielder on it and the American flag draped around my corpse. So if I do go and I do go out, I'll do so honorably. And I had a client, Rose Kaywood, shout out to Rose, who was literally like, gee, you're going to get your ass beat. I'm like, oh, thanks, Rose. Really appreciate the encouragement. Yeah, I thought you had more faith in me than that. Thanks, but no thanks. But I told her, I was like, Rose, let's me not forget. Yeah, you find out who your homies are, who actually fucking believes in you. I was like, fuck, I thought I had more supporters than that. So I was like, Rose.
You never do. There's always a haters.
Yeah, hate is going to hate, man. Yeah. So, everyone's like, oh, how tough the Russian people are. I was like, let's me not forget the tough, gritty fighting spirit of the American people, who as mere farmers with pitchforks disposed the world's greatest army the world had ever seen in the 1700s during the American Revolution. So fucking keep the commentary to yourself and let me do me and let me represent my nation with fucking integrity and uphold the highest honors of those traditions, right? As someone who is fucking going over to Eastern Europe. And I was just like, all right, whatever. You think I've been locked up, been to jail, been fucking stabbed in the back with beer bottles, like I have guns pulled out on me. You think I'm scared of a fucking Russian or any man for that matter? Don't get it twisted. I'll go over there and I'll either fucking get knocked out, submitted, or I'll fucking submit and knock out someone else. Those are the two outcomes, and either outcome isn't that bad. I'm going to come home alive. I'm not getting blown up. I'm not getting shot at. So
you do it tomorrow.
And I do it tomorrow. Yeah, 100% on site. Like,
crazy bad.
To me, it's natural. It's a natural discourse. It's like breathing. Like, I enjoy fighting. I love to do it. And so, yeah, it's a natural occurrence. So that was basically Russia or Belarus, I should say, to be more specific, Minsk. And in Minsk, after the fights, we all went out. So like all the teams and all the, supporters went out to this like cool medieval town in the middle of Minsk. And they have all like the Orthodox churches. They have cobblestone streets, really nice, like 800-year-old architecture. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And the irony of a place like Minsk, Belarus is that you can literally get jail time for smoking a joint in a park. But you could totally get blacked out drunk, jump on a fucking horse for like a measly $10, gallop through the streets of Minsk, Belarus, pick up 2 chicks, throw them over your saddle, and proceed back to the hotel. And that is totally socially acceptable. And I watched it happen on countless occasions. So
did you watch it? Wild
place.
Did you watch it from horseback?
I did not watch it from horseback. Although, if in hindsight, it would have been a lot cooler if I did. There's people on the roofs above the bars drinking beers, like crushing bottles of vodka, of course.
Let me ask you this. So you go out there with the whole, like all the fighters, right?
Yeah.
From all the different countries. Mm-hmm. Was there any tension or political bullshit?
No, everyone was cool as hell. Like,
isn't that interesting?
Were so elated, I think, to have the stress of the fight over, because that's the first thing. It's like the sigh of relief of like, all right, I'm no longer enemies with that person. That is no longer my fellow combatant. It is now my comrade and my friend, and now I can enjoy breaking bread with them. I can enjoy diplomacy. I can enjoy learning about them and their country, and I still keep in touch with these guys. I still have friends in Iran. I still have friends in Eastern Europe. I, actively keep tabs on them.
That's what I love about the overall the sports in general. Mm-hmm. I think that it for the players, not the countries, for the players, for the competitors, it transcends all the bullshit.
Yes,
and it's on a human level. Now we're human beings of Earth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Outside of all the bullshit.
Yep.
And it's amazing to me because you see a lot of the military as well that you separate from all the political bullshit, and it's like you're literally like we're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
we're comrades. And
bleed the same blood.
We bleed the same blood. We breathe the same oxygen in air. We have the same substance coursing through our bodies, and we're more similar than we are dissimilar. And
I wish more people could experience that and understand that, because I've done it in my time, both the military and competition and different things, and how it's like all that bullshit that everybody's bitching about in the in the media in the States and on social media, it all just fades away. It all just fades away.
And you realize it's all the institutions that we've been indoctrinated with, whether it be religion, political orientation, viewpoints, borders, right? And those are all forms of control, manipulation, and the tactic of governments and societies keeping,
you in your lane.
Yeah. And once you break those barriers, you realize we're just human beings orbiting on a fucking, meteor in outer space, with no control
of anything.
Or definitive fucking opportunity to dictate any of our future happenings, right? And the moment you realize that is the moment you can start treating people and teaching people through empathy how to be a more compassionate human being.
Yeah. I think the majority of people would, on the everyday level would say that they would treat each other fairly and kindly anyway. Just the media and then people getting brave behind the keyboard.
100%. Shout out to those keyboard crusaders. We're coming for you.
Yeah.
We're going to find you.
We're going to find you. All of you.
So you get wrapped up with Russia, you come home.
Yep.
Everybody thinks you're awesome. You didn't die. All your clients are like, "Oh, I totally thought you were going to die there." Didn't die.
Sorry, I got a new coach, man. Sorry.
Exactly.
And then, so did you get right into EP stuff after that?
So yeah, I had done some executive protection. I actually went down to the Mexican-American border that year and was working on a project with a team of military veterans, Sheriff Sharp, a few other political figures, and like 3- and 4-star generals who were trying to build a wall and close the largest cross-section outside McAllen, Texas, right on the Rio Grande River. So we were basically in like Sinaloa cartel country, and we watched firsthand as human beings were trafficked across the border and then just on their own free will, walking across this like very thin stretch and body of water into the United States. And basically all they would have to say is, I'm seeking political persecution asylum, and I would like to enter the country. And basically ICE and DHS and everyone at the border, all the patrol agents at that point, just let them in, and there's nothing that they can do. And so you just see people pouring into our country, really unchecked, undocumented, without masks, not adhering to the COVID policies or protocols whatsoever. And, I was shocked. I was like, not only is this a huge violation of national security, this is also promoting huge human violation rights, where literally women will, for 3 months, take birth control every day because they know once they get to the borders, these cartel gangbangers will literally rape them, sex traffic them, and just exploit and abuse them in the worst possible ways.
But it's better than where they were.
Where they were. So they'll risk everything, and they'll risk dying, being raped, having their children sold from underneath them to escape their current situation because they think it's going to be better. And there's a lot of disinformation, and the cartels obviously want people to get to the borders, and so none of that shit is publicized.
And this was 18?
This was 2018, yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
So go back. How did you even get that opportunity? Like, how did you
very
get into
fortunate?
the EP?
Yeah, very fortunate to be plugged in with like a select group of individuals from the Joint Terrorism Task Force, from like the upper echelons of the NYPD, top brass, guys who have worked for 3-letter agencies. And
is this all through all networks through fighting?
All networks. Yeah, a lot of them were like clients of mine, or a lot of them were clients who then introduced me to a secondary referral, who then was looking for a guy to fill in on an EP detail with the mayor of New York. And so on a whim, I jumped on board. And then from that point, they enjoyed the service and basically established a rapport with those people. And then they started to call me for other jobs and other gigs.
So when did you, because you've got for a civilian, quote unquote civilian, you got a heavy background on the tactical side, obviously, because you're in EP work now.
Yeah.
When did that kind of How did you get that opportunity to start honing the tactical side of not, obviously you know how to physically handle yourself in an EP environment and take care of people, but so where did that come into play?
Yeah, so I just realized the evolution of like combatives, and although I was very skilled at, you know, unarmed combatives and skill sets, I needed to implement and incorporate, you know, plated techniques. I needed to incorporate firearms training. You know, I was always fascinated with Native American culture. I was always fascinated with my Viking ancestry, being someone who's from Sweden, whose great-grandfather was a shipping captain who was out to sea for 300 plus days out of the year, and who basically had a grandmother who ran a self-sustaining farm with her mother in Dix Hills, you know, which was unheard of back in the 1920s. So I come from that background. And then on my grandfather's side, we're from Alsace-Lorraine, which is basically the border of the Black Forest and where Germany meets France. And that's where, you know, a lot of the Hunnic barbarian tribes are from. So that's the bloodline on my grandfather's side, and my mom is from Ireland, so we got the Celtic bloodline as well. So long story short, I've always had that kind of inclination and connection to kind of A, military history, B, combatives, C, just that yearning desire to protect the people that can't protect themselves through any means necessary with either armed or unarmed means of implements, right?
Yeah, and you and I talked a lot when you started to first pursue this because of a lot of the social things that were taking place.
Yes.
And that need for
protection
for ourselves, family.
Yeah. I saw, you know, as someone who was at that point was recently married, I saw a yearning desire to want to protect my wife and safeguard her. And so, you know, being down in Florida, where for the first time I had the ability to own a firearm, which is something that's unheard of in New York, unless it's a shotgun or a rifle, and even that's hard to get. Yeah, I realized with all the riots, with all the burning and looting, and the certain volatility that the world was taking, that it was imperative that I protect both my biology as well as the biology of my wife, my family, you know, people in society who couldn't defend themselves. And so at that point, I started to, you know, purchase pistols. You know, I started to get into rifle shooting. I started to find subject matter experts in pistol shooting and rifle shooting.
The training you did on your own.
I did it on my own. I saw like
it wasn't part of like a contract.
No,
they put you through something.
I basically invested the resources, and I just dumped a ton of money into my own training and development.
So back to taking ownership, you're like, I need to know this. Yeah, so I'm going to invest in myself.
100%. I was like, these are imperative skill sets I have to get proficient in.
Yeah. What was the name of that course? It was in Texas, wasn't it?
Oh, so yeah, that was for combatives. So that's C4C. Shout out to Chad Lyman, Jay Wadsworth, Jay Gawk, all the C4C crew, and Progressive Force Concepts. So that is the training schoolhouse that I go to out in Vegas. They do a lot with the LVPD. They do a lot with TACP, Air Force Pararescue units. They worked with SEALs. They worked with a lot of Tier 1 units as well. And basically, they do, you know, tactical training, CQC, CQB. They run a really great executive protection course. So I was a graduate of that, and that was with a bunch of State Department guys. You know, all the three-letter agencies were represented. A lot of ex-military, some soft people as well. And basically that was a week-long intensive training on the pillars of close protection, executive protection, with the end being tactical shooting and an FTX in Vegas, where you basically have, you know, a mock scenario. My guy was a weapons, you know, trader who was doing a Saudi arms deal for AT-4 missiles, and I basically had to trail him throughout the day. We had multiple persons of interest I had to protect him from, and in a team of 5 to 6 with a driver, we executed this FTX as a way to develop and test our skill sets in the realm of executive protection. But the training never stops. I dedicate at least 15 to 20% of my annual earnings towards training and development. This upcoming weekend, I'll be up in New Jersey training with my good friend Bill Brown, who's a SEAL team operator and someone who's running an urban survival tactics course. So like CQB, CQC, both with carbine as well as pistol. And then I'll be teaching the combatives like unarmed portion of that. And
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's, I mean, skill sets that everyone should know, skill sets that everyone should have. And what good are we as men, as women, if we can't protect those who we love?
Somebody else's holster.
That's the biggest motivation.
Talk. I'm gonna pee. When I get back, I want to talk about kind of going into more into EP and like thought process and things
awesome.
like that.
That sounds great.
Yeah, you just become someone else's gun holster, right?
Well, that's it. Yeah, it was funny. I mean, I had a situation this past weekend at the F1, and I'm basically running like an extraction. We got to exfil this crazy, chaotic parking lot that is the outside perimeter of Dolphin Stadium, and I mean, just insane logistical nightmare when you're working with a high net worth individual who's got a B attached to his name, and if gets kidnapped, could potentially be extorted for everything he owns, and billions of dollars will then also be taken from all of the investors in this company. So big potential and risk.
You
aversion.
also stop getting paid at that point.
Yeah, this is, well, we'll get into that without too much detail. But long story short, at the F1, we're leaving the F1, and this individual like comes up all posturous, like just flexing, putting his chest out there, basically like threatening us, like threatening my partner and I, who's a former recon Marine, that he's gonna like put hands on us if we cross this little fucking fictitious line that he's protecting. And obviously part of me wanted to jump on him and use his holster as just that, put him into a situation where he is the human holster. Of course, I would never do that, but this guy who is literally blatantly oblivious to the fact that all of his weapons are completely exposed. He's in my personal space. He's about to put hands on me. He's threatening me. He's basically put me in a compromising position, and I've already thought of 5 to 6 different ways to completely dismantle this individual, either in an unarmed or armed fashion. So why I say that is you never know who you're fucking with, and it's a lot easier to just be a cool cat who treats people with respect.
Right.
Best way to win a fight.
Yeah.
Not talk
Not
shit.
start one. Yeah, don't talk shit or you will get hit. And verbal judo before physical jujitsu, right? Walk away. I've averted more fights than I've ever been in, and I'm proud of that statistic. I might grab some energy real quick.
Do it. What do you want? What's your flavor? That's not energy. That's just a coconut water. Yeah.
You ever heard of this guy, Jason Kelly?
There's a monster, and then there's the melon. The melon mana is in the back. You want that one? Yeah. That's your.
You want to do this way?
You guys gonna share?
Yeah, we're gonna share.
That's
I'm gonna
so
take
cute.
a sip. He's gonna take a sip. I'm gonna stick my tongue in the can, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Okay, cool.
You ever heard of this guy, Jason Kelly?
Looks familiar.
He runs a course out of where is that? It's called C2T2. It's down in somewhere in South Carolina. But I'm considering trying to have him. He said he stopped by the gym.
We should get Jay Wadsworth. We should get Chad Lyman. We should do a C4C course, and we could do an instructor course at Crest BJJ.
That'd be dope.
Be awesome. I'll help organize that.
Yeah, let's make
really effective stuff. The amount of
Forget what I was going to
testimonials.
say.
Hold on. When you say let's, what does that mean, Tyler?
That means he does it, and I show up.
I just want to be super clear because that's what I was
Super transparent.
Make sure you knew what that meant when he says let's do that.
That's great. Yeah, Chad, Jay, they would love to come down here. We'll organize that. Get all the local, New Hanover County Sheriff's Departments, Police Departments.
We've got
to come down.
In July 23rd, 24th, we've got Sean. You know his last name?
No, but I can get it.
Okay. It's from Silverback Academy. We just went up there.
Very cool.
Episode 1 of Let's Roll.
Yes, I watched it. Yep.
Yeah, it was dope.
Cool.
I'd love to see you roll with him.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because he's like on an.
Yeah.
First time I ever saw Tyler get his back taken.
And choked out.
And didn't he tell you that? Didn't he ask you that? It's like, been a while since you had your back taken, huh? He's like, yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
But he'll be down 23rd, 24th.
Oh, awesome.
And then sometime shortly after that, we're going to get Tom down here too.
Cool. Yeah, keep me posted on those dates.
That would be.
Yeah,
that'd
definitely.
be great.
It feels good to be back in Wilmington, living here for close to 6 years, going to college here, really establishing some firm roots in this area, and being back on the coast is awesome.
Sean Stoopman. If you guys are listening, there's a podcast where we talk about how horrible he is. Did you see what he did? He posted that because I shared that story because he shared it. And because they did a clip where we're talking about how horrible Sean is.
Yeah.
And he goes, and so I shared it, and then I put the link in there to the podcast, and it said Sean is horrible podcast. And he shared it. He goes, I'm not sure if that's the actual name of the podcast. So we're going with it.
But enjoy.
That's awesome.
But enjoy, yeah. No, you would, I get that, obviously for me, it's a lot easier to find people to push.
Yeah.
But as you get, that's why you have to travel to, and,
Exactly.
you have to find somebody that's better than you to continue.
100%.
He's definitely one of those individuals.
No, I'd love to get some training in with him, man.
Anyways, so EP, man.
Yes.
So you're heavy into EP. You've I don't want to throw client names anyway. I'll let you do that. But you've done EP work for some of the biggest people in America and the world.
So, yeah, I mean, and most of the individuals, that we do work with have Bs attached to their names, and with that comes a certain level of intensified risk mitigation that is necessary and needed to, for the most part, prevent them from being kidnapped and then extorted. Most recently was on a detail where the client had threats from the Sinaloa cartel and was basically in jeopardy of being kidnapped, held for ransom, and then potentially having obviously all of his assets liquidated and seized. So where we come in is kind of as the phalanx and barrier between those persons of interest and our client. So we were basically tasked with protecting a villa, not only just protecting the villa, but the internal components, the millions of dollars of cash and fiat currency, as well as the billions of dollars worth of technology, and all that stuff, obviously is important, but it can be replaced, right? The human life and the human capital is the real reason that we do what we do, and why we're so heavily armed when we are in a detail. So for the last 2 weeks, that was what I was tasked with doing, was basically running a team of 15 armed individuals, a crew in the morning, and then a crew at night, doing perimeter security, static positions, both in front and behind the villa, as well as roaming sentry details, gathering intelligence, with 2 counterintelligence FBI agents who were basically feeding us intel on the threat to our client, because he repetitively kept getting menacing phone calls, death threats via email, text message, and then, blocked number phone calls, right? So
it's amazing that they have that ability to they get all your stuff.
Yeah, and they triangulate, and they know exactly where you are, when you're going to be there. And, so Sinaloa Cartel is one of the groups of interest. We also had the Hells Angels. After our client, we had the Albanians and then the Russian kind of mob figureheads in the world that are all looking to, extort and hold for ransom, these individuals. So definitely on the top 25 list. And most of the guys that we work with are top 10 in the world.
What's your stress level with that? What are you?
So the last 2 weeks were a very heightened level of stress. I really didn't sleep much. Was maybe sleeping for 30 minutes a day.
Because if something happens on your watch,
and then also I was
not
watching.
Necessarily your fault, but it's on your watch.
Yeah, it's on my watch, and so by proxy of that, it kind of falls on my shoulders. So and our team's shoulders. So we were also doing data analytics and studying the trending crypto markets. And so with that being said, not only were we worried about the physical safety of our client, but we were also worried about the technological, pitfall of the market crashing the way it did. So it was very, very stressful in the sense that if we, slipped up or we didn't monitor the numbers correctly, and we failed to wake or notify our client, basically the entire crypto market would have collapsed under our watch, and billions of dollars from billions of people would be completely liquidated. And, we could have caused the imminent collapse of the entire market. So there's a certain level of inherent stress with that as well. And that wasn't something that we signed up to do. That was kind of a task that we just got slated with. And then we were like, all right, we're paid to perform a task and mitigate risk and liability, mainly in the form of human capital. But, now if the show gets canceled because the crypto markets crash, then we're out of a job. So it was just something that we were slated and tasked with doing. And I felt honored to have that opportunity, to A, learn about the trend in crypto markets, but then B, to, have just a high profile position in safeguarding, that industry. And it was great. It was really cool, but very limited sleep, heightened sense of awareness at all times. And, we had vehicles that were scanning our perimeter. We had vehicles with paper plates and 3 persons of interest in particular that were pulling reconnaissance on our location, both from the front of the villa, the sides of the villa, and then also behind the villa, by boat and wave runner and jet ski. So we couldn't do anything. We could just watch and, I had an M4 for most of the 2 weeks, a 6 hour full, Legion X5 on my hip, and then something in a fanny pack, which I call the Manny pack, so that I was ready to go at all times, as did everyone in our crew. So we had 2 armored up vehicles, followed by 2 Suburbans, and then we had state trooper escorts at all times. This way we could just slice and dice through traffic and kind of take like a presidential motorcade approach to any of the places that we needed to go to. And then if we did take contact, we basically would usher our client into this vaulted lockbox in the back of the armored up Escalade, and then just, engage and then get off the X as quick as possible. So the people that we had, the people that we do have are, ex-military, ex-3-letter agency guys and girls who are all highly qualified. And we pride ourselves in hiring, Leo vets, military vets, and giving them employment outside of their careers in the military.
So on that, real quickly, let's plug the company. Where can they apply?
So
because you've reached out to me like, hey man, I've got 2 spots for vets.
Yeah,
let me,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Roman Sanford is the name of the company. It's a veteran-owned company. Founded by Dylan Bowers, who's a 3rd Group Green Beret, also someone who worked for Ground Branch, and Luke McNamara, Air Force vet, SWAT operator, and recently slated detective. And our team, I'm the security director for that company. And so we have a team of 8 personnel. We have a CIA intel analyst who gives us all of our intelligence, who plans and creates all the SOPs when we are going overseas. And some of the events that we've run, Jan from WhatsApp, we've done his, parties. We've done stuff out in LA most recently for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit Super Bowl party. We do a lot of high net worth, high-end individuals parties out in the Hamptons in the summer months. And then we just ran 3 successful F1 events down in Miami. So we really cover the global market and provide close protection, executive protection, intelligence, counterintelligence, cybersecurity, character and reputation, risk mitigation, and everything in between to eliminate risk for the clients and ensure their safety and security.
And the Hamptons are your favorite, right?
Yeah. So
I say that sarcastically.
Yeah. You know what? I love being out there in the summers. It's great. I love the fact that there's.
No, I meant the work.
Oh, the work. Yeah.
The parties.
It's intense. Yeah. I mean, it's intense. It's a grind, but the exclusivity of our clientele and the people we get to rub shoulders with, and just the stories we get to hear and be a fly on the wall to, are pretty freaking incredible.
Yeah.
And unreal. Like you have to pinch yourself to like realize whose presence you're actually in sometimes. It's pretty awesome.
2 things. Excuse me. One, just because I don't really know enough about it, but if something does happen to your client, what level of responsibility do you guys actually truly have? Is there
legalities? Like legality?
Correct. Or is it just your name that's on the line and you'll never get hired again if something were to happen to the...
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get blacklisted from the industry, and kind of like the bodyguard. We're not bodyguards, we're executive protection agents, close protection agents, but much like the situation in Paris where the Kardashians get $3 million worth of jewelry stolen,
Yeah.
Even though it was a lack of their situational awareness and their bodyguard was off getting them something, he still took the fall. He still fell on his sword with that, right? So yeah, if you slip
So
up,
what happened to that guy?
happens,
I don't remember.
yeah, he got fired. He probably, will
That
have
was
a
it.
very hard time getting a job in that industry again. And, it's kind of make or break,
Yeah,
That
so
sucks.
it does suck.
That's a hard
That's a
thing.
hard, yeah.
So you just go till you fail, and if you don't fail, you're successful. If you do, then you lose your job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. And then number 2.
Sweet industry to be in.
It's awesome. Ton of security, ton of stability.
Number 2, can you tell anything about that one story up in I think it was the Hamptons that you told me where there was basically like a shootout or about to be?
Well, yeah, so I can't mention the names, but 2 of kind of the rapper elites at a private party this past summer. One of the performers is on stage, killing it, having a great performance. Everyone's vibing high, good energy in the party and the environment. And then another individual who I guess is slighted or had some outstanding beef with this individual storms the stage. They get into an all-out fight. I'm basically holding back the entourage of the performer and the attacker. So I'm in between a group of like 10 dudes all swinging on each other. My boy Eric's holding line with me. My boy Dwayne. We got some heavy hitters. A lot of guys who train jiu-jitsu. We got Green Berets on the rooftop with nods because there's people trying to sneak in through the bushes and literally bribe us $50,000 cash to get into this party.
Fuck that.
Fucking
dude.
wild. Yeah, literally like trying to extort us and bribe us to get in. I mean, we had to
How
we
many-
had to
how many did you let in,
I had to
How many did you sell? How much money?
I had to deny at the door French Montana, if that tells you anything. So like these are some of the people that we're having to turn away, let alone the people that are there.
I'm just curious how much off the black market did you make that night?
We'll discuss off record. No, I would never, because the moment you fall into that trap, you lose credibility completely.
course.
It's just never worth it. Never worth it. And we pride ourselves in our integrity and honesty. But long story short, all out brawl breaks out. Of course, gets pushed into the worst possible spot to get into a fight, which is a kitchen. And right as one of these individuals is about to grab a Michael Myers like butcher knife and thrust it into his adversary, I yell to my partner, Luke. I'm like, Luke, fucking knife, grab the knife. He grabs it, pulls it away from the individual who's trying to use it as a stabbing weapon, and we get everyone from the kitchen now outside to the street. So now we're having this melee. It's like at this point maybe 10 to 15 on 10 and 15. I'm caught in the middle. We got a bunch of guys also caught in the middle, and right as we're finally, after about 10 minutes of this melee transpiring, trying to diffuse situations, and then there's that friend who's fanning the flames and fucking riling everyone back up again. Obviously expletives are being, thrown back and forth at will. And it's like the cheesy, hold me back. I'm going to get him, bro. Hold me back. And, if I'm going to fucking take someone out, no one is going to stop me from doing that. I'm going to fucking lay hands on this motherfucker if it's the last thing I do. I don't care if I die trying. These guys, you could clearly tell, it was all about the image. It was all about just acting like a bad dude.
They were putting on a show.
Without actually being a bad dude. Yeah, so putting on a show. Finally, the show starts to wind down. And then as we're ushering the antagonist group into their vehicles, one of the guys in the antagonist group pulls from his waistband a gun, draws down on us. Now we're caught in between a loaded weapon, the person who got attacked, and all of our agents are in the middle of this potential crossfire. My boy Jay runs up to him, is able to basically get the weapon, get him to dislodge it, and then usher them into their vehicle so that they're able to make a swift exit. But really to the point where we were about to draw down and potentially eliminate the threat that was posted up to us as this individual pulled the gun from his waistband. So moral of the story, like, don't invite people who have potential beef to a party. Make sure you heavily vet the guest list and make sure that everyone that is there gets along, is in accordance with one another. There's no outstanding issues or tiffs, and make sure that there's some sort of pat down process. I know they don't want the exclusivity or the uncomfortability of, high net worth individuals getting pat down or having some sort of wanding, checkpoint, but it is imperative to prevent something like this from happening. I mean, honestly, if he deployed that weapon, he would have gotten dropped very quickly and he would have been dealt with. But had he got a few rounds off, there's no saying that an innocent person might get caught with a stray bullet, right?
Somebody's dad,
we eliminated that, and we mitigated that risk tremendously, and we were able to safeguard those at the party, our agents, and everyone involved from a potential catastrophe. A few other experiences like that. We were waiting for this massive firework extravaganza to take place on the beach.
I remember you telling
had dumped a ton of money into, getting all the permits, having the right personnel to execute the fireworks show. Long story short, unbeknownst to us, the fire marshal comes, threatens us, like completely, okay, if you guys do this, we're going to write you tickets, we're going to write you summonses, this and that. You guys are going to get fined heavily. We're like, we have the permits, we have the team in place. They're having fireworks, they're having fireworks. Why are you singling us out? And why are you targeting us and preventing us from effectively throwing this party? Long story short, after she leaves, my boy Dylan, everyone was like, should we do it? Should we not do it? All of a sudden, he gives a thumbs up. He's like, send it. So we send it. We set up this huge, it was about $150,000 worth of fireworks, into the night sky. As we're doing that, we basically have some individual who's stumbling on the beach, belligerent beyond belief, and I see her from afar, my teammate and I, flash her with a light as she's about to stumble face first into this monstrous daisy-chained explosion. Wind up grabbing her and pulling her aside, directing her away from getting blown up into a million tiny Brazilian booty parts. And long story short, prevent this inebriated white girl wasted chick from getting fucking blown into a million pieces. And so there was a lot of situations like that, like people getting cut where we had to like perform first aid, like people sneaking in, a certain individual's hair going up in flames and literally going up in a fireball, and me having to fan the flames and basically pat her hair before she got like brutally scolded. Wild stuff.
And that person's husband is now a semi-friend of yours, right?
Yeah. We rock out together. So and in a lot of the same circles, which is pretty cool. So
so the lesson here is don't be white girl wasted and go fall into a $150,000 of fireworks.
Bingo. Don't get white girl wasted. And
don't
if you
get
do,
white girl wasted at all.
Don't get white girl wasted at all. Exactly. And if you
nothing good.
And if you do, holla at your boy. And this night in dented armor will be there to save you.
Yeah. His IG is below. Slide into the DMs.
Hey man, I got a whole list of pals that are interested, and they're all coming to train tonight. For some reason, they're all like,
convenient.
Wednesday? Cool. We'll be there.
Oh, look at that. The matchmaker.
Yeah. Let me show you while we're on
do
here.
not get me in trouble.
I'm not getting you in trouble. I'm not dropping any names.
Boy.
Not publicly. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't blow your cover.
Babe.
That's amazing. That's hysterical.
Show a picture of who she is. That's where it's at.
Let me see.
Don't say it out loud.
Careful, man. You'll be living back in North Carolina. You know what I mean?
Roping me in.
Yeah.
This is all part of the diabolical plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Get me on Always Forward podcast. Rope me in with some siren women, and then get the permanent move to come back to Wilmington so I could train jiu-jitsu with you guys every day. Awesome.
So we're gonna have
Rolls.
Gareth. We're gonna have
Nice.
Gareth at Crest probably more often now.
Yeah, 100%. I love it here. It feels great to be in North Carolina.
So you are officially you're finally, after all these years, you're leaving the communist state of New York.
Leaving the Communist Republic of New York. This last year, I've been basically living out of a suitcase. So I was in Vancouver a lot. I was in Palo Alto, California, back and forth between the East and West Coast traveling. Most recently, I was in Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
Excuse me. So I was living there full time, and kind of by a happenstance and change of heart, I decided to make the full-time move back to the United States.
We were kind of talking about that this morning. Like, you were over there, you were staying in the Four Seasons. Like, it was nice living. You're getting paid good.
Beautiful, yeah.
But it wasn't.
It was luxurious, and I was very fortunate for the opportunity. But what I had to forfeit was my own personal solitude, and my own ambitious daily pursuit of jiu-jitsu, of Muay Thai, of boxing, of
I think connection too.
Connection,
you're something I know about you is you really do crave community and
soulful
connection.
Community connection. And with the exception of the team, I didn't have any of that outside of work. And I also lived where I worked, so there was no disconnection. And I craved that just camaraderie, that unless you're at a jiu-jitsu academy, unless you're at a CrossFit gym, unless you're at a Muay Thai academy, it's very hard to find those like-minded individuals cut from the same cloth.
So today we filmed episode 3 of Let's Roll. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. And so like today we did jiu-jitsu in the morning. Yeah. You know, and then we did some ice bath work and then went to breakfast. And we were like, as we're recovering from the ice bath in the sun, and we were kind of talking about that. You were like, this is what I've been missing. I'm missing like training in the morning, getting an ice bath, soaking in some vitamin D, and then going to work and then going to do things. And you just don't have that in that kind of lifestyle. So.
Yeah. And being at the beck and call for a client, you always have the go bag ready. You're always ready to rock and roll within a moment's notice. And you go straight to the FBO, you jump in a private jet, and you're basically wheels up to go anywhere in the world.
You're living for other people.
Yeah, and you're living for other people. You have no semblance of a schedule. You have no semblance of normalcy. You have no ability to like have a routine. I mean, I had a routine. It was very structured when I was in Abu Dhabi. But then when I was on the road, you know, all that goes out the window because now you're 24/7. You're monitoring the markets. You're monitoring and safeguarding your client, and you are literally responsible for one of the highest paid individuals in the world, who also safeguards and protects and preserves the equity and wealth of some of the most elite people in the world. And so there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress involved with that. And so you're always on edge. You know, you're always waiting for that text message. You're always waiting for that phone call. You never really feel like you have disconnection and you can decompress. So
you're back in Florida. You're moving
back in Florida. Yeah, back in Miami, down there full time. Going to use that as my home base. Yep. Still working with clients. So there is, you know, the propensity to travel quite a bit. But running Rome and Sanford down there. You know, also work in collaboration with another company and called Mosaic Group. And basically, you know, working full time, you know, with a client who's a big tech guy, an individual who needs close protection services, all the while running high profile celebrity events. So gearing up for a very busy summer out in the Hamptons, and then also gearing up for, you know, a very prosperous fall and winter upcoming in Miami, you know. Nice. So things kind of wind down, as you know. It gets super sultry and humid in Florida in the summer. So the shifted focus will then be Eastern Long Island, New York City, and then we have quite a few opportunities in LA as well that we'll be tending to over the next couple months.
But it's not the same thing as long-term EP and, you know,
these are private events. Yeah, and
so really, you can keep your community, you can keep your training up.
Exactly,
you can still keep focusing on yourself. And
yes,
I think a lot of people I think that for individuals in our community, we get trapped in thinking that we have to do this thing for the money. Yep. But then we lose something on the back end, like you were talking about this morning. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you have to balance that, and you have to be okay with going, well, wait a minute, I'm going to take less money and live my life.
Exactly.
Because now I'm exponentially more happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Vice just grinding, and what happens is like broken relationships. And yeah, so great, you've made a bunch of money, but then what?
Yeah. And shout out to a good friend and brother, Antonio Mizuraka, who runs Paramoto, a private military contracting firm, and then also the Global Empowerment Mission, who is sending hundreds of millions of dollars worth of medical supplies, first aid, food, water, all the necessities over to Eastern Europe and Ukraine to aid in the recovery process of that, you know, war-torn country. And then also Aerial Recovery Group, which does the rescuing of orphans and refugees from the battlefront to bringing them to places in Poland and other European countries to safeguard them and protect and preserve their ability to live a normal life. So I'll actually be down June 3rd through 6th. I'll be down in Nashville, Tennessee, training with them, getting ready to basically learn all the prerequisite skill sets to extract refugees from Eastern Europe and then other war-torn areas throughout the world. So when I'm not doing executive protection, private security, that's my mission set, is to kind of put myself in the fray and help with causes that I feel ardent towards, you know, being a part of. And so the refugee mission, also going to be going down to Africa in the winter to do some anti-poaching with Veteran Paws, a group of mainly veterans who, you know,
Yeah,
these
know of them. Yeah.
I know
when they first got started, I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
they've grown a lot.
They have. Yeah, there's some really good organizations out there. And so I've always had that military itch, and I think for reasons outside my control, it never worked out as I expected, but that doesn't mean I can't still serve, you know, in the community with jiu-jitsu.
I tell so many people that, and like they get so hyper-focused on like the only way to serve is the military. I'm like, first of all, it's not necessarily the best thing in the world. Take it from me. You know what I mean? And then two, there's a lot of places and a lot of ways that you can serve your country and your community.
Yes.
And the military isn't just the only one. There's a lot, and you've done that basically the entire time. You know? And
you're not institutionalized.
Yeah, and you're not institutionalized.
Exactly. And I like that aspect of kind of being a Ronin, right? Ronin is a emperorless samurai who picks and chooses his own battles and seeks on the path of self-improvement and perfection and safeguarding society, and lives a Kaizen-like existence. Kaizen
it's the you know, I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a garden in a war.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I'd rather be at peace. I want to do my life. I want to be left
100%.
alone. I want to be left alone. I want to do my life. But don't get it twisted. And if it's time to go to war,
you're fucking lethal and swift. Yeah.
Like I will flip the switch.
Exactly.
Nick will cut his hair.
Exactly.
I will cut my hair.
I want to pay less taxes.
Yeah.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
But that whole you know, that whole concept, like you cannot be a peaceful man is not necessarily a good man. A man that's a weak man is not a good man.
You have to be inherently dangerous. Yeah. You have to be inherently skilled at violence and know when to exhibit lethality if you have to.
I think some of the most violent people in the world are also some of all of my friends are hippies.
100%.
All of my friends that I came up with are most deadliest, dangerous people that I know. They're all assassins.
Exactly.
And they're all like, how can I wear the most colorful, you know, board shorts and shirts and wear my flip-flops and just like smoke weed on the beach all day?
Be as chill as possible, but when push comes to shove, be a fucking lethal assassin. And my friend Mitch Aguiar, shout out to Mitch, Massive Supplements.
Violent hippie.
Yes, that.
I need to get one of those geese.
I'll get you one, and I'll get you one of the tie-dye rash guards. Yeah, they're dope as hell. So violent hippie is kind of a concept.
It's that whole concept, right?
Being extreme at violence and being extremely proficient and capable at lethality, and you know, if you have to, ending the life of someone else to safeguard you and yours, but then also being transcendental and being diplomatic and being courteous and being kind and compassionate and being a member of society that adds value, doesn't take but gives. You know,
right? Yeah. All right, let's do this. Give me that, babe. So we have this thing. Okay. You are 35?
34.
34. All right. So I think I know where you're at, but we have to do this test.
Okay.
And you've got some, and you picked, that's what you picked?
Yeah. So these two.
No, hold on. You smelled this and you picked those.
Yeah. Well, I sprayed a little bit on my bits and tits with the slick spray.
Okay.
And then I tried some of the Formula 49 clay pomade just to get the flow as impeccable and manicured as Tyler's over here.
Yeah. So this is what I want you to do. Let's put those.
He's 35, babe. He's on the cusp. This could go either way. 34? Okay.
Yes.
When's your birthday?
November 6th, 1987.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not going to tell you what, but there is an age group. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if you're young at heart or if you're an old man.
Or from old soul.
All right. If you're an old soul. I like the way you said that. Cool. Young at heart or old soul. So here we go. So you're going to pick one of these, and you're going to smell both of them.
Okay.
And if you need to take a drink, if you need to blow a snot rocket, whatever you got to do to recover, and then smell the other one.
Okay.
All right. And you got to you have to pick one.
Okay.
Life or death.
Life or death. Only one.
Only one. Yeah.
Okay.
This is our Johnny Slicks organic pomade. And we're just using this. We're just using this for the scent test.
The scent test. Yeah.
Are the names properly marked on these?
Yeah, of course.
Ooh, I like that. Kind of like a pine tree essence. Reminds me of Christmas time, with more fragrance and sophistication. Oh, I like it. Really.
And for those you don't know, one of our biggest ads right now is if you've seen the guys, if you've seen
it's nice.
If you've seen the commercial where we're talking about beast wash and we're a bunch of naked men in the in the river bathing. That was us in the PB Abate fight camp.
It's one of our highest performing ads.
It's our one.
Really, that's amazing.
And that is Gareth explaining what beast wash is, because nobody had soap, and I happened to bring beast wash, so I provide soap for everybody.
Nothing better to butter your beastly nipples than the beast wash, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, that's nice too. So
you can go back and forth before you make a decision.
All right, let's see here.
Maybe sniff your nitro stout in between. Coffee's supposed to clean the palate.
Hey, this is a no-brainer, by the way.
For me, for you and me, there's no brainer. You know what I mean? But, you know, he's a younger guy, and, you know, maybe. But he's on the cusp, but he can go either way.
So I'm going to go with this one.
Which one's that?
The rugged.
Yep, you're in the
rugged.
You're in the
rugged.
You're in the.
I'm here.
I'm in the geriatric.
You're there.
I'm in the geriatric category, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I knew that was the more sophisticated.
So rugged is for 30 and over.
Reminds me of my grandfather.
Yeah.
Is that why you don't like it?
No, not at all. He's a great man.
You smell like mothballs, Sonny.
That is not what it smells like, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
I don't know.
It's a fantastic scent, and he was a great man. He Pearl Harbor survivor.
Oh, damn.
Navy. Yeah, he's
Respect.
great. So I just like the tropical sort of feel of this one more.
Tyler's a little fruity. You know, it makes sense.
See,
what are you using in your hair right now?
I have original and Paradise.
Okay, so Paradise is an offshoot.
Okay.
That's an outlier.
Or Oasis.
Everybody
What's
likes
the difference of Paradise and Oasis?
Grapefruit.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it smells great too.
Oasis-
They both smell awesome.
Oasis, I think, is more like cut grass, like fresh spring kind of thing.
Okay.
And then Paradise is like Starburst, tropical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, Allie, question for you, for the female host is, what would you rather run your fingers through Nick's hair with and smell in the morning?
So I got to be honest, because
that's really what counts.
We've created sort of a, what is it, Pavlovian response,
Yes.
I think. So now I can only smell rugged on him, and we put it on the baby. So like I'll walk past it, and I have warm and fuzzies all over my whole
that's
body.
what you
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're saying if I wear this will give me female attention?
100%.
How many confirmed?
Wow.
12 confirmed
12
pregnancies.
confirmed pregnancies. Wow. By immaculate conception, right? There's no...
They just get a sniff.
They get a sniff. They get a sniff, and they're
and then 9 months later,
I'm pregnant.
After they roof.
pregnant with twins.
So no,
This sounds dangerous. I don't know.
there is a warning on it. Use at your own risk. So legitimately, over 30 is rugged and omega. Okay, and then under 30 is original and alpha.
Cool.
Yeah, which you have some alpha right there, but that means you might have not smelled omega.
Yeah, this smells awesome too. I love the.
They're all great, but we've seen over a period of time we're over 100,000 orders. In with Johnny Slicks.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm Omega all the way too.
See, that's the thing. It's weird. It's you get over a certain age.
I gotta try the omega.
I think that you would if you're gonna lean rugged, you're gonna lean more omega.
Okay.
They have the same spiciness.
Yeah.
It's like a spicier.
I like so. In the Middle East, obviously, oud is a very popular scent. It's part of a tree that they burn, and then it turns into this like oil. And most of the colognes in Abu Dhabi have some semblance and trace element of oud in it. And it's said that when women in Abu Dhabi see men, sometimes they go oud as they walk by. I don't know. It's never happened to me, but rumor has it. So I like the kind of rustic, like rugged kind of smell.
Yeah.
And so obviously this has it. It's got more like the maybe like the cedar or sandalwood.
I think
type
it's
notes.
tobacco.
Tobacco, yeah. I like to smell like gunpowder, gasoline, tobacco, whiskey, bourbon,
They're working
and like
I'll get with Johnny and be like, Johnny, I need gasoline.
Yeah,
100%.
Jet fuel.
JP8.
Get some grass clippings in there.
Get some grass clippings and maybe a little hippie lettuce, to bring it all full circle. It's my new easy toilet. Cannabis for men.
That could be a hit.
I think that's Sex Panther.
Sex Panther. Made from bits of real panther flesh. Works 60% of the time every time.
So legitimately,
that's how Tyler and I met.
Legitimately, we have reviews of this that people started wearing this. Like, man, I've been friend zoned from this girl, and then I bought Johnny Slicks, threw the rugged on, and boom, next thing you know, I'm going on a date.
Her pants fell off.
Her pants, they melted. They incinerated. Wow.
So, anyways, that's Johnny Slicks. All organic.
Awesome.
All organic.
Smells great.
Yeah, it's just amazing stuff. There's a reason why it's a 7-figure business.
It's incredible. I tried the alpha, because I'm all about giving a testimonial of a product that I've tried, and it was awesome. It was really good. Put some in the hair. It's nice.
So we have 3 different things. Yeah, you've got a
textured.
So
product.
oil base is a light hold with a high shine.
Okay.
Formula 49 is a medium hold with a matte finish.
Okay.
And then the water-based pomade is a high hold, high shine.
That's what I like. The high hold, high shine. Yeah. This is great.
The Formula 49 is also.
I mean, they're
really
all good, but if I had long hair, I'd use something like this. If you know,
exactly. Yeah,
this is like for my shorter hair. This is like the
Formula
perfect
49
product.
is where it's at.
Yeah,
I like to mix a little bit of both.
Yeah. Okay.
Get a little shine.
That's what I do when I do at the gym.
Luster.
Yeah, so I'll actually do Formula 49, and then I'll put. It's funny, Johnny and I were just talking about this on his podcast. I'll take the oil based for my beard to kind of shape it and condition it. It's almost like a beard balm.
Yep.
And then I use the remnants to kind of
rub in Tyler's eyes before you're rolling with him.
Yeah,
nice. Captain Insano shows no mercy.
No, and kind of put finishings on my hair.
I like it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that's how I keep Miss Capra naked in the sack.
Ooh,
that's how it
there
happens.
we go. There we go.
The clothes just instant poof, it's off.
I don't know. I
don't know what happened. I blacked out.
I don't even remember it.
I didn't remember. Wow.
You don't have to remember it.
Well, it's obviously working.
I got mine.
It's good. Yeah, IGM.
Yeah.
Well, dude, what's next, man? And where can people find you if they want to support you? And what's your business? How can you help them?
So GTH Consulting is my business. So it covers basically executive protection services, security consultancy, as well as strength and conditioning, human performance, boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, self-defense, and basically from a holistic standpoint, safeguarding not just the human being and the human capital, but also their families, society as a whole. And then from the real estate side of things, protecting title and the transfer of title and chain of title from seller to buyer during the real estate transaction process. So GTH Consulting is a company predicated upon Excelsior service and providing safety and risk mitigation services for people's most important investments, which are obviously their family members themselves and their real estate portfolios.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome, dude. Well, dude, thanks so much for coming
and
visiting us, man.
Huge honor to be here.
Yeah, man.
John, we'll do the boom.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a beautiful mother, you.
All right, guys. Hey, this was a freaking outstanding podcast with some awesome stories. You don't get to meet people like this. He's one of a kind. So if you got something out of this, which I know you did, go ahead and screenshot this, share this on social media, and tag all of us. My wonderful coach, and
the Killer
Koala, and then also there's Gareth as well, and we'll all share it. Engage with us, and if you need something, reach out. Other than that, you guys know the deal. Never quit, never surrender. You always keep moving forward, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Awesome. Out.